Welcome to Natural 6! Jump scare. Hi, everybody. I feel like I genuinely made everybody jump a little bit.
Yeah.
It's the power you wield.
It is episode 16.
Wow.
16. Legally able to get married in the UK. Our show's growing up, kids. No, I mean, I don't think you should. We're talking about legality, not about whether or not it's always
Not
appropriate.
morality.
Don't get married. You might not even want to. It's an outdated institution, a lot of people think. But anyway, enough of that.
Abort.
Welcome to episode 16 of our adventures in the world of Reliquiae. Let's say hi to my and your, nay, our heroes.
Hello, I'm Aoife Wilson, and I play Dolly de Winter, the Tiefling Bard.
Hello, I'm Alex Jordan, and I play the Kobold Rogue.
Hi, I'm Doug Cockle, and I play Kelnis, the Dragonborn Druid.
Hi, I'm Hollie, and I play Elwyn Grenweird, the Human Fighter.
Hi, I'm Ben Starr, and I play Radiant Thornbear, the Wood Elf Wizard. And if I was going to be a material, it would be felt.
Ooh, why?
Really?
Because I once got so drunk that No, but this was really early. I didn't drink until I was 19.
Okay.
And then I went
fruit.
to Kyrgyzstan on my gap year, and I was very, very unwell, and as in just unwell in general. And everyone else was going to this kind of like market. And Kyrgyzstan is this is 2006. So
It's not like it was.
Such a lord.
It's not like it was.
So 2006, and I was in Kyrgyzstan, and it was very. I mean, to put it this way, the Soviet Union. This is insane content, but it's so true. But, like the Soviet Union only kind of like relatively recently,
Ben,
annexed.
what is going on?
But felt.
No, keep it. Go on.
Stop. This is good stuff.
Go on.
I was in this field, and these two policemen came over to me. These two policemen came over to me, and they didn't speak a word of English, and they could see that I was unwell, and they thought the best way to make me feel better was to give me vodka. And I was like, oh, I can't. But the one thing I've been told was that you have to say yes. So I was like, it would be rude to say no, and I didn't drink alcohol at the time. And they gave me vodka. It was like peach vodka, and I went, okay. And we just drank peach vodka in this field with these policemen. And then I invited some friends over because I was like, I need you to help me with this. And then they brought another bottle of vodka out. So I drank straight vodka with these
To a field. They arrived in a field.
Yes, and then the problem was in the afternoon, and this is the relevance to the story. In the afternoon,
Finally.
we went to a felt making factory. And I was so drunk because it was the first time I'd ever been drunk off peach vodka, and it was like I was sitting there in a whole world. I didn't know what was going on, and there's like pictures of me like inappropriately straddling like felt
You
animals.
felt the felt?
No!
There were so many, and it was like obviously a very textured experience. So I was there just like stroking stuff and just insanely drunk. And that's why I picked felt.
Well, but the momentum successfully killed.
I'm Harry McEntire. Shall we play some Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah.
Last time, you began in Mab, the docent of grace having spoken words you heard in the orbs at the peak of Mount Atria. After whispering into Kelnis's ear, the Dragonborn asked to know more, whereupon the docent recounted everything you had heard from the orbs at the top of the mountain. Exhausted by the effort, the docent needed support from Dolly, not knowing where this new knowledge had come from. She did, however, recognize the party, having seen Barabask's message in the sky after the battle for Mouse. The docent reassured the newly dead that she did not believe Barabask, 5 mortals surely couldn't slay 9 gods and 4 antiqua. Reassured, Kelnis offered a gift, a staggeringly beautiful cherry wood spoon. Moved by the craftsmanship, the docent offered Kelnis a truth, telling him that Yilda seeks the son of the tree speaker. You bade farewell to the docent and headed into Mab, finding a tree under which you could make camp. As the rest of you slept that night, Dolly was left to watch, though she failed to hear footsteps stumbling through the wood. Fortunately, Kel, tossing and turning in a sleepless night, was roused and headed towards the noise. Easy, everyone, easy. Finding a gnome stumbling through the woods. Shouldn't have written tossing and turning. I realised that was my first mistake. The gnome's name was Quincy, and she was savant of the nearby workshop, a gnomish temple which had hosted a gathering of the local gnomish folk after Barabask's revelation. During their discussion, a gang of tieflings had entered the workshop, demanding that the gnomes turn over any gold that they had hidden. When Quincy protested, she had been knocked unconscious, only waking in the night and sneaking away. You offered to help her on the condition that you receive some form of reward, with Quincy agreeing to your terms and guiding you through the woods. At the workshop, you approached to the sound of voices within. 2 tieflings argued over Quincy's escape, mentioning a highborn elf who owes a debt to Iago, their leader. Radian led as you gained access, pretending to be a party of refugees from Mouse looking for shelter. Dolly cast Charm Person to sweeten the deal with the 2 tieflings, while Kelnis took the remaining bandit, a human wizard, into a side room where he tried to subdue him. The Dragonborn was unable to do so, and the wizard summoned an earth elemental. Dolly convincing one tiefling to drink wine outside with her, as the rest of you scrambled to divert attention away from Kelnis's fight. As I, the character sometimes referred to as me, and Elowen joined forces with Kelnis to kill the caster, and consequently the elemental he had summoned, Radian battled with the remaining tiefling, another clutch use of hypnotic gaze, turning the tide of battle in his favour. Together you downed the hypnotized tiefling and searched the temple, finding no wealth nor bodies, but revealing a spectral hologram of Ristrin. That done, you headed outside, where the remaining tiefling, Petra, happily drank wine with Dolly, revealing that Iago, their leader, sometimes had rooms at the Black Cat Tavern in Yanik. You left Petra, still under the thrall of the suggestion spell, and rejoined Quincy, resolving to head into Yanik with the gnome, though not before she made repairs to Eye's Grenweird crossbow. And that's where we are now. It is still nighttime. The smallest of the small hours, 2-3 o'clock in the morning. You're on the edge of the tree line, Quincy with you having just agreed to fix Eye's crossbow, and you can hear the occasional satisfied slurping of wine from Petra away at the front of the workshop on the grass.
What are we going to do about them?
Her. Dunno, we have some time, not a lot, but we can just leave.
Well, not before we get that crossbow fixed.
How long's that gonna take?
She'll roll an investigation check. Okay.
That was I looking at.
Yes, sorry.
That
For our
wasn't
audio
me, just
viewers,
something
that was I looking at Quincy, rather than Alex being like, "Well, tell me, dickhead."
I mean, it might have been a bit of both.
It was a little bit. It was a little
A
bit.
bit of both.
She turns it over in her hands, and she says, "Oh, it's the mechanism. Will take a little time, some specialised tools.
Who has them?
I have them in the workshop, but I have a small selection back at my home."
Where will be quickest?
Well, points at Petra. What's the situation there?
Essentially, they'll keep going for a little bit longer. Maybe not too much longer. Why don't we just... I mean, where's your home? Yanik, I assume?
Yanik.
Let's just go to Yanik. We're not coming back this way, right?
Is it troubles to leave them alive? They have seen us.
Yeah, but everyone's got it in for us these days, so that's a little bit more, what's one tiefling gonna do?
Maybe we should tell them we is going somewhere we is not.
Maybe we should just not tell them anything.
Maybe we should just kill them.
I see no reason to spill blood.
Having spilled blood.
To be fair to him, which we always are, he burnt that person to death. He didn't cut them.
Spilt no blood.
He did some bludgeoning damage with stones, and he burnt a person to death.
But still no blood. So,
Not a drop.
so I'm getting judged.
How about this? Go over to them, tell them to walk in another direction. See if it works.
That would require another use of the spell. So the way suggestion works is you suggest a course of activity limited to a sentence or two. So it would require another use of a second level spell, were Dolly to want to re-suggest.
Why don't we just tie them up and leave them for someone else to find?
That would be considered a harmful action, so that would crack them out of... It would be, right? Yeah.
No, I think you can... So it says, if you or any of your companions damage the target, the spell ends. But I would have them roll, and I would have them re-roll the save. But I would say, because they're already under suggestion, if you were able to phrase it in such a way that it wasn't, we're tying you up and leaving you here, they would re-roll the save with disadvantage because their mind is already slightly befuddled by what you're doing. You wouldn't need to use another spell slot.
I love how you absolutely want us to leave her alone. We're like,
Because you're friends now.
Well, I just don't want to kill them. Like, well, how are we? We'd have to just all, like, take turns bashing them, and it's like, that seems a little bit mean.
We're going to Caesar them.
you clearly didn't see what happened in there. You're going to hate what happened inside that workshop, my God.
Burnt hair's got a real smell to it, let me tell you.
It's really bad. Someone just like drooling on me whilst they constantly get stabbed.
They
Come
couldn't
out a
move. I
little
walked
damp
up and
and no
just
one knows
stuck
why.
them twice.
I know, you were just like,
So,
I just say we walk away and leave them, but that's just me.
I think we drag the dead bodies out and lay them down next to Petra. And
But no blood was spilled.
Actually, that's not bad.
To use suggestion, make her think that she did it.
I don't think that wouldn't really...
it doesn't harm them. The suggestion must be worded in such a manner as to make the course of action sound reasonable.
Quite how she managed to burn.
I think she has a memory.
Yeah.
I don't see any reason actually why she would.
Plus, it does wear off. It's a concentration.
Action rather than it's not a modify memory spell.
exactly.
I think if it was a modify memory spell, you'd be able to say you killed them and she'd believe you. But I think suggestion is sort of dealing with her
She's
current
been
situation. She has, but she's been gently drinking a box of wine, and like we know from Aoife, tieflings have the constitutions of oxen.
And she has also been talking and staring at the moon.
She has been talking and staring and talking and staring.
at them.
Say it.
Fine, I'll do it.
Oh no.
Do it.
Radian walks back into the workshop and picks up the legs of the body that he has just put the darts into and starts dragging the body outside the workshop. Starts dragging the body of the dead person towards Petra.
Okay.
Okay, and I go in and plug my nose and I grab the dude that I burnt and I pull him out as well.
Yeah, you stink.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to
know
have
what
her
this
roll
is
a
doing.
perception check.
Yeah, she can see him.
Okay. She turns around. She says, What have you done?
It wasn't us, it was the gnomes.
What gnomes? There are no gnomes here.
There are.
There are not.
They're very powerful.
Roll me persuasion with... Both of you roll. I'll take whoever's lowest.
10.
With its cocked.
Doesn't matter, I pulled a 10.
What is it, persuasion?
Yeah.
Oh, 11.
11. Okay. She says, There were no gnomes in here. There were no gnomes in here.
You're right. There weren't. We were lying to you.
You found me out.
These two are dead.
Yes.
You saw what you did to this place, right?
Yes, we were looking for gold. Roll me a perception check.
7.
Okay, carry
No,
on.
no, that's 10, sorry, that's me.
Carry on.
You went into this religious space and you desecrated it.
Yes,
Yes. And now 2 of your friends are dead.
it would appear so.
Do you want to end up like them?
Do you?
Your friend tried to attack me, and I put 4 bolts in their head. I will do exactly the same to you.
Okay, roll intimidation.
$19.
Her hand that had been reaching for her spear stops in its tracks as it's tracing its way along the snow-covered grass. And she puts her hands up. She says, I will remember your face.
I'd hope so.
And she looks over, sees, are you within vision, Dolly? Are you in the tree line?
No, I think I'd be in vision.
Mm-hmm. She looks to you with a question. She is still sitting here drinking wine, looking at the moon, but there is you as the caster, I think, in this moment, sense a sort of
Breaking.
a turmoil, a break. It's not, if you or any of your companions damage the target, the spell ends. We're not there, but we are
Emotional.
We are, emotional damage. We are approaching a point of tension, if not breaking, on this. And you see her kind of looking to you. Roll me insight.
16.
She's not looking at you with accusation. It's more for guidance, trying to understand what's happened.
You're in over your head. I'd say maybe walk away from this one.
And just to emphasize the point, I dropped the burnt body of the wizard next to the guy with the missiles in his head.
You drop the burnt body of this wizard, and she looks at the body and looks up at you and says, we were not close.
If you weren't close, don't die for them.
I still look like a tree, by the way.
You still have bark. Yeah, you still have bark
Bark
skin
skin
up.
going on. Yeah.
Sick. She says, we will meet again, I'm sure.
Remember that we spared you. Could have
And
gone.
hope that we don't meet again.
Remember, I spilled none of your blood.
Noted.
I want to walk up and just take her spear.
She lets you.
And then I just, holding it, realise this is far too big for me.
Very big.
I have to Carlos and go,
It's comfortably 6 foot long. It's comfortably 6 foot long. She just watches. Pours herself. Opens the tavern.
Why did you do it?
The world. Everything that mattered. Everything we thought we knew that we had lived by. It's all, and she sort of, as if to say, dust.
That's why you did it.
The rules of the game have changed.
What do you mean by that?
No gods, no laws, no control.
You have nothing to believe in anymore.
There is nothing to stop us from acting on our impulses.
Well, that's not true. Gods aren't the only thing stopping you from doing bad things. And they shouldn't be.
Maybe if they was, then you was never good.
Shall we have a conversation about morality? Did you need to...
No, I is good.
You is good.
I is good.
Very well. I will... She gestures towards the burned body of her companion and the other one who's full of arrows and says, we will beg to differ. It appears none of us are spotless. She takes a sip of her wine.
I just checks himself for a spot.
Before this, what did you live for? Before the world went.
The promise of something better, a reward that would come. The reward never came, so I find my own reward. Roll me an insight check, Radiant.
17.
She's not lying. She seems pretty clear-eyed on this. She looks up at the moon, looks back at you. Has another look at the moon. Back at you, sips the wine, shakes her head.
Hey. Eyes here.
I'm down here, yeah.
We done here?
Where are you going to go?
I don't know.
Are these your only friends?
She gestures her head towards Kalia, the other tiefling. We have known one another for a long time.
I'm sorry.
No, you are not.
Yes, I am. We've done awful things, all of us. And your friend didn't deserve to die like that.
But here we are.
What can we do to make it up to you?
You can get me a shovel.
Okay.
No!
I walk into the workshop.
Mm-hmm. You'd absolutely be able
Right.
to find a shovel. There's all kinds of things in there. Like it's like each of those workshops. There's one that's like leather work and one that's metal work, one that's woodwork, and they all have that feeling of like that kind of artisan enthusiast shed down the end of a garden where someone loves making things. And so shovels would absolutely be something. There's no weaponry, but it's shovels, spades, trowels. You would find like gardening equipment.
Great. We've got some time. She's fixing your crossbow.
So I get a couple and I just give some. Anyone who wants one, I give a shovel to.
No thanks.
You can fix it here. You thinks?
Well, she looks at you and she says, I would need someone to help me.
Fine, it's just me.
Come on, Stan.
Right. So we'll handle this for a moment. So while you're sorting out shovels, what are you going to do actually with it? You want to help her dig the grave?
Yeah.
Okay. So you and Petra start digging a grave. And while that's happening, you and Quincy go into the metalworking area of this workshop. And she walks in there and everything's been smashed. And she sort of tuts to herself and...
It was like this when we got sin.
I don't doubt it. And she gets a broom, she starts sweeping up. You can tell that despite the fact she's covered in sort of bits and bobs and knickknacks, she actually likes to work in a very clean way. She takes a little bit of time organising. And then she puts her hand out for the crossbow.
I take it on my back and hand over.
And
No
she's...
tricks or traps.
Understood. And then she says, I'll need a little light, and gestures over to a candelabra.
Okay. I head over to it and I point my finger like this and I use firebolt
Yeah, brilliant.
across the top.
Perfect. And you hold it over, and like she's placed the crossbow on this workbench, and she starts to, with this little rack of screwdrivers that she has clipped to her apron, this artisan apron full of pockets. She's pulling things out of everywhere, little tightening tools and little hand screwdrivers and little wrenches, and she starts to take apart piece by piece, like a schematic, laying out each piece of this mechanism. And she finds a cog, a set of interlocking cogs that are meant to be ridged. And she says, look closely. Roll me an investigation check.
That is. Goddamn, where is it? There it is. That's an 11.
It's an 11. She points, and you see that these cogs, rather than sitting flush with one another, what's happened is they've started to favour one side ever so slightly, and it's worn. And instead of these regular grooves, these regular teeth that are biting each other, it's worn on one side, and so when you wind it, it will sometimes slip and slip. She says, "There's your issue. I think I have just the thing." She goes and she gets a little apothecary-style box out, flicks it open. That one's full of locking nuts. She pushes that away. Eventually, she finds the right little case, which has about a dozen little compartments, all of which have these little pairs of grooved wheels.
Can I see if I can get a sense of which one is the right
Yeah.
one?
Roll investigate. In fact, roll contested investigation. We'll see who gets there first. It's a +4. What do you get?
Go on.
19.
21.
21.
I rolled a 19 and had a +2.
Amazing. So she's looking along. She's like running her finger like along each of these little compartments, and she goes, "I think it's
This one.
You're like
This.
maybe you're 2 compartments ahead of her. She brings her finger along to it, looks at the cogs, looks at you, looks back at the cogs, and with a broad smile, she says, "I think you might be right."
I know I was right.
Takes the cogs and now starts the delicate work. She says, she starts to kind of put it together. She says, "This is a good weapon. It's beautiful craftsmanship.
It was a gift.
Very precious thing. Would you, it's all quite straightforward from here. If I can tell you what goes where if you'd like to do the honours. When we make something with our own hands, we feel more of a kinship with it, I often think."
I thinks about something that he's got in his pocket. Goes,
If you talks me,
and shrugs and kind of, but in a kind of like a, doesn't want to say
Yeah.
help me please.
Says, "Oh, of course." Roll me a sleight of hand with advantage as she's giving the help action.
That is a 19.
19. She guides you through it. And piece by piece, this crossbow starts to take shape. Until it's whole. And she turns to you. At this point, she's gone to holding the candelabra. There's the odd sort of drip of wax. This probably takes about 10-15 minutes as there's the odd drip of wax onto the table. It's almost like this kind of drops marking the passage of time. And by the time you've finished, that wax has started to pool on the edge of the workshop and then just start to fall over the lip of it, solidifying as it does so. And she says, she sort of smiles at you mischievously, and she says, "Not really meant to fire weapons in the workshop, but she looks around at the absolute chaos. Everything has been destroyed. I don't think it really matters in a moment like this, do you?"
it might be fun.
So she sets up a little target for you in the far corner of the workshop. And you now have your +1 Grenweird longbow, your magical +1 Grenweird crossbow, sorry. Would you like to take a first shot with it?
Yes, please.
At Petra.
I stare her in the eyes, I smile.
I shoot the gnome god.
Lo and behold, she was digging her own.
So why don't you make an attack just to shoot at this target with your new?
So that is a 14.
A 14. It has recoil. It's such a. Your crossbow was something that you'd found. Perhaps the web had supplied it to you, or it had been traded by kobolds, by the tribe. It was necessary that the people, for hunting and for the protection of the tribe, have something. And it was not poorly made, but not exceptionally made. Mm-hmm. And there's something in this. You feel this sort of surge of power that starts at the trigger and works its way through. I mean, it sort of shocks your shoulder. and you hit just off the center of the target. It's a good shot, but it's a new experience.
Pushes my weight back, and just out of instinct, my tail kind of catches me and pushes me back upright again.
Yeah. And she says, well, looks like it's working fine now.
I might need to practice a little.
Be my guest.
It's usually very good.
An awful lot better than I could do. Tell you that for free.
I can't believe it.
It was cut outside. You've been digging a grave with Petra.
Yeah.
Have you said anything?
Yes. Lots of things.
Let me tell you about some of the things.
Damn, I said 20 minutes, so I guess the floor is yours.
Let me tell you about my summer in Kazakhstan.
I've been writing poetry in my free time.
No.
So she, to be fair.
I've taken the box of wine off of Petra, and I've been sitting watching them.
Yeah, I'm gonna like pull over a box and sit annoyingly close to where people are working. I'm gonna pull over a book.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna start reading, quite passive aggressively.
She seems distressed by the fact the wine has moved and keeps going back, and every now and then sneaking a look at the moon.
I'm gonna drop.
You're going to drop suggestion. Okay, you drop suggestion. She doesn't snap out of it as much as it's like this slight kind of relaxation in the shoulders. Does she know she was under a spell after suggestion drops?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Charm person she will. After an hour.
That would be, you probably have another half hour on charm person. So she's still charmed. And she's digging away.
I'm sorry about your friend,
So you said.
but I really am.
Roll me persuasion with disadvantage. Or deception, it doesn't matter actually. Don't tell me which one.
It doesn't matter. It's a 6.
She says, it makes no difference, you cannot bring him back. It is done. He is dead. He is dead for good. There is no reward that waits for him. There is no place he goes to beyond now. The gods are dead.
You think that?
Show me something different.
You think that now the gods are dead, they go nowhere?
Well, if the gods could not save themselves, what chance do they have of saving the souls of those that follow them?
It's pretty nihilistic.
Well, it's the only way to be.
It's rich coming from you.
Winter looks.
What are you reading?
My book. Torian gave me.
Oh, of course, you're reading your tome. Your manual of bodily health. You're reading about the benefits of a juice cleanse.
Oh, yeah.
But who were you before this?
Someone like everybody else. Not the best, not the worst, somewhere in between.
You must have had a job.
I worked with Iago.
Iago. Who's Iago?
Her boss.
My boss. I work for him still.
Still.
Yes.
So it wasn't exactly honest work you did?
No. What about you before the gods were dead? Were you honest? Were you making honest work?
No.
Well, there we go. So you do not sit in judgment of me.
I'm not judging you, I'm just asking questions.
You ask with an agenda.
You're very defensive.
You're very interrogative. I'm not sure that's a word.
I'm just someone digging a grave for your friend.
So am I.
So, what did you do for this, Iago?
Roll me persuasion.
6.
Can I help? She's still charmed by me.
Yes.
Go on, tell him.
So you can roll and we'll take your result.
What was the persuasion?
Persuasion.
28.
Very well. She says, we ran card games. And the odds were not always stacked in favor of the player.
Well, how did you get into ransacking places of worship?
We have a cash flow issue.
And I thought you'd find it here.
It is think of what we were doing here as a bridging loan. The money will come, but the money is taking a while.
And you still work for this Iago?
I think now I probably do not. I have said what I have said. I am here with you. My companions are dead. I have utterly failed. I do not think he will welcome me back with open arms.
Or did you hope to find cash here? You just thought you'd raid the place and find some money?
You know
really are
gnomes.
being nihilist or naive to the ways of the world.
You know gnomes. Gnomes have money. Roll me insight.
11.
It's even with your limited knowledge of the world, like it seems to be a reasonably. There are certain people who would just believe that, well, if they're making stuff, they've got to have wealth. Gnomes aren't money orientated at all, but that seems quite surprising to a lot of people because they would assume that if you've got all this stuff and you're making things, you're selling things.
Yeah.
Gnomes aren't really looking to sell stuff; they're making stuff for the joy of making it. They're like artisans.
This Iago, he seems like a pretty powerful individual, pretty influential.
Mm-hmm.
You still work in Yanik?
Does he still work in Yanik? It's where he makes all of his money.
I heard Yanik's quite a small place, quite a big fish in a small pond.
There is some. What do you know of Yanik?
We're just heading there ourselves on the way to somewhere else.
Well, if you have not been there, you would not understand. But let me tell you, within half a day, you would know a mark from someone who is not a mark.
You gonna be heading back there now?
No. Where I go, I do not know. But I go alone. Thank you for the company. Thank you for digging a grave for my friend. I'm very moved.
It's a pretty dangerous place out there.
Ugh. Nothing matters. If I die, I die. I just don't want to be gestures to burned to death friend, shot in the back.
I know a place.
Do you know?
Mm-hmm.
What place is that?
Mouse.
Mouse. Farmers. Big castle with rich family.
Who defeated the Gloam?
Who is Glum?
You must have heard.
Oh. Sky God.
No. The Gloam. These uprisings all over Reliquiae.
Well, this is what I said. World is in chaos. What do you want me to do?
I'm offering you the opportunity of a better life. I'm feeling sorry for your dead friend.
You're-
I'm sorry for helping you out.
You're telling me I can walk 2 days to a place you are not. That is not helping me. I have heard of Mouse. I have heard of Vale. I have heard of Ponvin. I have heard of Coressian. There are many places in this world.
I'm just saying that if you went there and said that we sent you, you'd have a bit of safety, a bit of comfort, a bit of warmth.
And who are we?
Friends of Mouse.
Friends, I will say, do not worry. I met a friend of a mouse.
Well, I want to know if I can trust you. You gonna go or not? Feel free to die out there. I've seen many people dead along the road on the way here. Clearly, you are in a lot of shit. You raided a place of sanctuary. 2 of your friends are dead. You are not going to survive 2-3 days out there. I know you think you're a survivor, but you will not survive what's coming.
Roll me persuasion.
8.
You know my name. All else are dead. If you say nothing, nobody knows I was here.
Okay. I am sorry, though. I know you don't believe me. I think he's probably finished digging the grave by now.
Yeah. She goes to she sort of gestures towards the body and says, well, you're going to help me or not?
Yeah.
So the two of you pick up this body and place it in the shallow grave that the two of you have dug. And then she kneels down next to it and she touches, he's got these kind of ram-style horns. She touches both of his horns and then she touches his forehead and she speaks in Infernal, and this would be something you'd be really familiar with. She speaks a few words from his fables. She says, we are the raven and the river, the moon and the claw, our tongues are silver and mist. And then she starts to...
Hollie has been reading the book, but actually gets up and sort of is respectful of that moment.
She starts to put the soil on top of it.
Yeah, and then he radiant helps. Just does.
Puts the soil on top. And then she shoulders the shovel like it's a spear and looks at the four of you who are there and says, I'm keeping this, and walks away into the woods. Finishing off your target practice.
Very impressed with this crossbow and kind of having a little bit of a momentary think. I reaches into a little pocket inside, pulls out the rough sketching he did of a blueprint of a high chair and places it down and goes,
It's not very good. Can you maybe draws it better?
That is a very interesting idea. I've heard of these. I would find these very useful.
They is very useful.
Can't find them anywhere.
I gets to sit with my friends.
Exactly. All equal. All together. Having a drink, having something to eat.
And the food is here.
Right on the
here.
tray. Smaller clean-up.
Makes sense.
Have you thought of putting a little lip to keep the liquids in?
A lip?
A little lip, like a little edge of wood, so that if you were having soup...
And if I spill?
Spill, you can go anywhere.
This is a good idea. What if not a lip, but
a trench
and leads to a little cup
with an attached straw?
Yes, I likes this. Can you add it to this?
Yes. This will require a little more time. I would do it at my workshop back home.
Yes.
In Yanik. Give me a day.
Please.
Yes. And she rolls it up, sticks it inside one of the many pockets of her waistcoat, her trousers.
I catches himself kind of in this moment and goes,
Anyways, maybe we should see the others.
Great.
and I runs out with his crossbow into the night scene with everyone with Petra wandering off and goes,
looks at this,
and just turns around and fires it into the wall.
Thank God! Thank God! Oh my God! That was incredible. Can he roll to see whether it does get to the wall? If it doesn't get into Petra's head,
Quincy follows you out with 4 crossbow bolts that, in your haste, you forgot to pull out because you were so excited. I think you might need those.
Yes.
Loads it.
Looks at this
and fires and has that recoil moment.
You can see it's like this is a new thing. You've seen this crossbow fired a long time ago, Elowen, but it would only ever be fired like Kellen didn't like to fire it in conventional circumstances. It was that sort of kind of typical, slightly like that kind of childish wish to be like a superhero. So he would only do it if he was like hanging upside down from something.
360
or if he was like, or if he was like jumping off a frankly quite small set of steps. So yes, this is the first time you've seen this fired in a long time.
It's nice. Like would make Ellen smile because it's like it's again a bit like having something of her brother's kind of with her, and actually seeing it being used properly is a really good stretch.
He shot a wall.
yeah.
But it's nice to see it working.
Now you know that it's about another half day from here to Yannick. And that will push you through a kind of 24-hour period of being awake. It would push you into a level of exhaustion. Exhaustion works differently in the 2024 rules. It's a -2 to every roll, rather than disadvantage. Your walking speed is reduced by 5 feet, and I believe there is something else that happens. I will just look it up.
I clicks his heels.
So that would be something to take into consideration.
Yeah. We could rest here for the night.
I think we probably should.
Countess opens the tap with a box of wine.
I wanders over to the freshly filled in hole, just pats the soil and goes,
It's a good hole.
Thank you. I dug it myself.
You want to hear a joke?
I'd love to hear a joke.
I just made it up. I think it's good. It's fun. You want to hear it?
Yes.
Okay. How many gnomes does it take to change a light bulb?
I don't know.
Neither do I. I've never seen a gnome change a light bulb.
What's a
You've
light
never
bulb?
seen a light bulb?
I'm not going to lie, I sat there.
No, it's really. What's it?
How many gnomes can you fit in the back of a Mini Cooper?
Did you see it in one of your dreams?
I thought it was a good joke.
And Quincy says, well, if we're resting, I've had more sleep than the rest of you in the last day or so. I don't mind keeping watch, keeping lookout for you.
Only if you're sure.
I don't think anything else is coming.
Yeah.
Great.
I think we might need to turn off the big light man.
Light man.
Don't ask. There's a giant light man.
Okay.
It's a giant, small light man.
I thought you turned the light man off already, did you not?
No, I shot
walked
through.
Oh,
I
you
shot
did,
through
of
as
course.
I-
Ristrin is still there, giving all of his platitudes.
He speaks. And he speaks odd.
Oh,
Odd.
interesting.
Speaks. Likes this.
Oh, okay. Well, let's turn that off. I don't think we'll be sleeping through that.
So someone goes down into the basement and turns off the god. You get some rest. And Quincy watches for the first few hours. I mean, Radian,
Yeah. I'm good.
you're good. And by the time you've rested, it's about midday. And you have everything back. Spells, HP, uses of wild shape, your dignity.
That's been gone.
Rest can't fix everything.
This place is a little bit different in the day.
Nicer.
Yeah.
Nicer without the dead bodies, too.
It's nicer before it was ransacked. They're interesting workshops.
Yeah.
Can learn a lot.
You've been to one before?
Yeah. When we were kids, we came here. Agatha took us here.
To this one?
Yeah, I mean, don't forget, we're not far from Mouse.
Dolly, retrospectively roll me an intelligence.
Just straight intelligence?
Yeah, just an intelligence check to look at your book. 7, okay. No pass yet. And Quincy has managed to rustle up some kind of food. Like, this, it's not quite that they're doomsday preppers, but they would have had some sort of, some stuff here, like some, like kind of twice-baked bread and stuff that would be kind of nourishing and keep you going, but wasn't particularly enjoyable. She says, you know, not the tastiest, but it should keep us going on the walk, and we really better get going. I mean, I'm comforted at least that none of the congregation seemed hurt, but they must be worried about me.
That's good.
Leads the way.
So, you approach Yanik. Over the next few hours, you walk through the twisting paths that lead through Mab, and then the woods fade gradually. The flowers that cover the earth are overtaken by a slow tide of encroaching snow, and the dappled shade of the canopy diminishes until you're walking in the bright sun of a winter day. Quincy keeps a fast pace at the front. Despite her head wound from the previous day, she seems determined to make it to the town before sunset. I mean, sunset is only for sort of 5 hours away. Hood up. The rest of you as well?
Yep.
Hoods up.
Yes.
Radian removes all his clothes.
I goes, Pamela? Me?
Have you forgotten my name?
You need a new
We
one.
need a new name.
Of course.
How hungover are you?
It was bad wine.
The wine's fine. The wine's fine!
So we have a Pamela and me. Are you?
Light bulb.
Light bulb.
Didn't think that through, did I?
You should be called Light Bulb.
Light bulb?
How many gnomes does it take to change a candelabra? So what is your name?
Light bulb.
I am Steve.
Steve. Pebble?
Yes.
What do you think?
Missile boy.
I'll let you decide.
Missy.
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 Fine.
Missy, Pebble, Steve, me, and
Pamela's the most normal one.
I don't know, Steve's.
Okay,
Oh,
so
great.
as you figure out your as you're doing this, Quincy looks over her shoulder and she says, "So, discretion."
Discretion.
Which question?
Discretion. She points to a small child's play area. Understood. Now, the first signs that you've entered Yanik and left the woods behind are ploughed fields with root vegetables and brassicas that have been grown, hardy vegetables that can survive the frost. And soon there are more buildings that are visible. There's smoke curling from chimneys of ramshackle houses, and these buildings grow in size and scale and density as you near the centre of the town. Everyone roll me perception checks. Radiant.
16.
I.
7.
Dolly.
15.
Steve.
22.
23.
23. Everyone above a 10 notices that it is oddly quiet here. There's no one working in the fields. There's no one. You can't hear like the sound of children playing. You hear the noise of livestock. You can hear cattle lowing, but no babies are awaking. There's no. It's like it's abandoned.
How long's it been like this?
Quincy looks over his shoulder. Like what?
There's no one here.
There'll be an oratory square. And you would know about Oratory Square, Pebble. God, I have to keep track of so many fucking names for you guys.
Sorry, yeah. Really enjoying this.
It's an Oratory Square, Quincy explains. She explains something called the right of the common voice. And Yanik is a town that has always been built on the idea of like open debate of important issues. The Reeve of Yanik, Isolt's mother, doesn't rule in the way a traditional ruler would declare things that people were going to do. Instead, her job is to sort of be a guardian of the people, but to empower them to make their own decisions. And when there's matters of great importance, such as the organising of religious or cultural festivals, or a bad harvest has come and the food needs to be shared out collectively, or the Watch are going to be sent out to deal with an outside threat, she will invoke the right of common voice. And at that point, the people gather in this square called Oratory Square, and they cast their votes on what should happen, like a form of direct democracy. And Quincy says, if they're not here, it means they're making a decision. Maybe about me, I don't know.
We should go see.
So, excuse me. You get closer. You're Quincy's leading the way, but Elowen, you start to recognise the roads around here. You've been here a few times as a child. I don't think you've been here, every summer, but you've probably been here half a dozen times or so. And the closer you get towards the actual centre of the town, you see that people are, just as Quincy suggested, moving towards an open square, just this central hub of a town that's suddenly full of life and noise. And in the centre of the town, people have gathered around a tall, dry fountain. And there's an elf stood in the central bowl at the top of this fountain. And he has this long, oblong-shaped face. And he looks to be holding court. And you see in the square humans, elves, tieflings, gnomes, halflings. There's all kinds of species and creatures are here. But this one elf in these silver robes, a belt with a blue buckle. And he stands... one hand sort of reaching out as if he's plucking an apple from a tree, and the other one is held across his heart. I thought you wanted to say something.
No, I'm just loving the music.
Oh, this is jovial music.
It's great.
Who is Jovial?
Jovial is the pseudonym of the baddie, but you just don't know that. This is Reeve, learned friends, people of Yanik, and the villages there surrounding. Well, the question put before us by these esteemed and valued gnomes, and he gestures down to the base of the fountain, where there are a little cluster of gnomes who are stood. Everyone roll perception checks on the gnomes, please. Let's start with 19. 13. 16. 12. 14. Okay. 16 and 19. What you see, Dolly and Kelnis, these gnomes look really pissed off, really, really irritated. This is the biggest collection of gnomes you've probably ever seen, but you are struggling to see over the heads of people in the crowd. You've got to, in order to see them properly, you would almost have to be able to look in a parabolic arc over the top of everyone and then back down.
So I just see their feet.
You just see that. You just see their feet. No.
Yeah.
And the rest of Elowen and Radian, you can sort of see the backs of their heads, but can't quite tell anything. And Quincy is next to you and says, "Oh, that's Truffle. That's Truffle," pointing towards Truffle, who seems pointing at the backs of one of these gnomes. And this elf continues. The questions seem to be comprised of two core elements. That of ownership, right? You follow? And that of morality. Well, when we examine the great philosophical arguments made by, among others, Iorgos Wash or Antipodes Thrace, or even, may I humbly suggest, Walland Winter von Venn, we're encouraged to examine not only the nature of these ideas, but their application in the world as we experience it. So we take first ownership. Now, property. And he gestures down to the gnomes. Property, in layman's terms. Now, is ownership of the physical or metaphysical a fixed idea?
My eyes have rolled so far back into my... I just could not. I'm infuriated.
Roll perception and Elowen.
That is only a 9.
Okay. You can hear rumblings through the populace, this kind of low-level white noise. You can't tell if it's support or discontent.
I turns to Dolly as our resident, good with worder, and just goes,
"What does they say?"
So far, not very much at all.
Okay.
He says, "No, take an apple in my haversack." You say, "Okay," loudly. He's briefly thrown and shakes his head and continues. That haversack, that haversack is porous. The apple, it wilts, it rots, it decays. Is the water that evaporates from that apple my property as much as it's sweet and yielding flesh?
So he's trying to steal from people.
If so, what has stolen that water? Stolen my property? Do I make declaration to the Reeve that it be reclaimed? Do the watch must wave their spears at the sky and demand the return of my property through precipitation?
Trying to steal stuff in a smart way.
No, I mean, naturally, that's absurd. We must also take into account the idea that all is lent to us by the divine. And what is property? Yeah, in that case. Kel and Radian roll me perception checks.
20.
20?
11.
You are stood next to a dwarf, Radian, and you hear a dwarf. He's covered in soil. He's clearly been working in the fields. Throws his hands in the air and goes, "Every bloody time."
And once again, the dwarf is Scottish.
Fucking hell, all right, mate. How's your vocal range?
Wow.
No, I don't mean.
Oh, okay, shots fired. Shots fired.
Right, Geralt of Rivia.
It's just that dwarves are always Scottish.
They're not. Gronoth wasn't Scottish.
He was Scottish,
That's
yeah.
true.
We were more Nordic at that point.
We were absolutely
We were
Nordic.
Scandi.
If we ever want to get into the lore of dwarves, we'll do an action surge.
Once again, Scottish.
This elf is continuing. What can we steal? What can we borrow? What can we beg? Everything is made by and therefore only lent to us by the divine. We can only discuss morality when we've lain to rest the idea of ownership or the tangibility or otherwise of this rather ephemeral
Can
concept.
Dolly nudge someone in the vicinity and be like, "Who is this guy?"
You nudge a human. Close-cropped red hair and a very kind of neat red beard. You guys, you ask who it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's speaking?
So, Pennick, one of the learned friends. Roll me a history check, Dolly.
11.
11. You've vaguely heard of the learned friends as some sort of. It's either a philosophical thing or it's an educational thing. It's something to do with, as the name implies, learning, but you can't really place what it is.
And they just let him get up there and talk?
Well, technically, we're not allowed to cast the votes until everyone's had their say. But this lot seem to use it as just practice for debating, and so nothing ever gets done. He's the worst as well, by far.
How many are there?
Oh, well, there's a whole clutch of them that live in the house.
And you do this a lot?
Well, not as often as we used to. It takes too long.
Yeah, I can see that.
But this lot, points to the gnomes at the front, they're worried about their friend. Well, everyone wants to send the watch out, but this lot don't let us do anything.
You mean that friend?
And the human looks down at Quincy and goes, "Oh, there's a gnome here!" the elf, the elf with their hand on the heart and the sort of gesturing in this sort of very sort of classical pose of someone who's learned. Their hands immediately drop to their sides. I beg your pardon? And all the heads turn and look at Quincy. And Quincy is kind of like jumping, sort of she waves her hand. "Oh, it's all right. I'm all right." And the crowd start to part. You hear, "Oh, Quincy, is that you?" And these two gnomes that you have seen who were getting really agitated and really angry start to push their way through the crowd. And they reach Quincy, who also starts to push her way through. And they embrace, and you can hear them saying, "What happened? I don't know. I woke up and I thought you were all dead, but it turns out none of you were dead. And then I had some friends who helped me, and they rescued me, and they got me out of there." And the populace start to kind of break into conversation. You can hear people saying, "Oh, that's a relief. I mean, we could have been here all night." And the elf starts to awkwardly, with the help of other people in silver robes and blue belts, sort of clamber down from the top of the fountain. You can tell deep, like someone who really hasn't thought about the return journey when they made the initial one. The robes are getting slightly hitched up. Like you can see, very worried about the going too high, revealing too much leg. He's sort of going, "Give me a hand! Give me a hand! Give me a hand! Give me a hand!" There's that kind of breaks into conversation, and then there is a parting of the crowd again. And quite close to where you are, Quincy is reuniting with these gnomes, and you see that there's a kind of parting away to one side from an area you haven't been able to see. And Elwyn, you recognise the person who's moving through this crowd towards these gnomes. It's Eris Mentor. It's Isolde's mother. And for now, she's not looking round, she's only focused on these gnomes. She's wearing, the rest of you just see this woman with grey hair cut at shoulder length. She has this plum-coloured dress with golden trim, and she has this sort of stole, like a thick scarf of purple. It's not a stole so much as a scarf, really, of purple and orange tartan that's tucked into a thick brown belt worn over one shoulder.
Hey, what are you looking at?
That is Isolde's mum. That is the Reeve of Yanik.
Oh. A lot taller than I thought she was going to be.
Yeah, Isolde's pretty tall as well, though, but I think that's where she gets it from.
Wow, make me feel really, really small.
Yeah, that's why they use big words here. They like to make people feel small.
Listen, I know I'm not really the smartest person.
No one is when you come to Yanik.
Was he saying words up there?
Yeah, that's all they do.
That was
you
crazy.
come here and all they do is say words.
It's like they were making up words.
They do it for hours and hours and hours. It's really quite infuriating.
Yeah, I feel very small and I feel very stupid.
And that is exactly how the House of Learned Friends like you to feel.
The House of Learned Friends.
It's like a school. People come here to go to school here, and they learn almost nothing. They talk and talk and talk and think it makes them important.
Sounds like you got some beef with the House of Learned Friends.
I just find them utterly, utterly boring.
You see Eris makes her way down to these gnomes, and she pulls the dress up a little bit and sort of crouches down and kneels in the snow, so she's head height with these gnomes. And she looks at Quincy and she says, "We were very worried about you. We wanted to send out the watch. I'm sorry that we weren't able to do so. You know my hands are tied in matters such as this, but I'm glad you're home." And Quincy turns to Eris and sort of nods, a little tight smile. She says, "No, I understand," and jerks her head over towards where the fountain is and says, "It's impossible with this lot, isn't it?" And Eris, roll insight. You can roll an insight because you know Eris reasonably well.
Yeah, that's just a 14.
A 14. You see her marshal her features because she's in a public space and say, "They are an important part of Yanik. They are not always. They do not always speed the process through. That's for certain." And then she starts to turn and disappear back through the crowd.
You gonna follow her?
We'll go find her later.
And the population just starts to splinter off. Everyone recognises that Quincy's back. There's no need to call on the watch. You look around. You see that there is like a formal watch, and they look to be reasonably well decked out. They've got metal breastplates, and they've got spears and shields, and some carry bows. In the town square, in Oratory Square, you can see that there's maybe 24 of them. It's like, for an area like this, it's quite a sizable watch, quite unusual. But then this is a town with no walls.
So, what's the plan? We're here.
Well, I has got some drawings that I is being helped with.
Drawings?
Of the high chair.
Oh.
Yes. It's just a thing with the gnome.
Are you making friends?
No.
Are you?
No.
Sounds like you are.
Quincy hears gnome, turns around and goes, hello.
What?
What? Oh, this is Cobner, gestures to one of the gnomes, and this is Truffle.
Okay.
This is this is
It's very nice to meet you.
this is me. This is Pamela.
Hi.
This is Steve. This is Pebble, and this is
Missy.
they the ones who helped me. Everyone roll insight checks. Go ahead.
Roll the nat one.
Nat 1 from Radiant.
14.
14.
13.
13. 8.
7.
7. Wow. 13 and 14. Cobner and Truffle are so relieved to have you back, have Quincy back. There's no thought to try and piece together unfamiliar names with who you might be in the throng of Oratory Square. I think you're just caught very much on the hoof here. And Dolly, they're just gnomes. They're just like people greeting their friends. There's probably not much to it. Radiant,
There's something up with them.
Truffle might be onto you.
Oh.
Did anyone see that?
What?
Truffle.
What? Just another gnome.
She's looking at me weird.
Everyone roll perception checks on Truffle alone.
Nat 20.
Nat 20. Okay.
Yeah.
Truffle is literally not looking even in Radiant's general
I
direction.
mean, if this is about you thinking people are into you again, I can guarantee you they're not even looking.
Listen, I heard this phrase once and I think it applies. Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Oh my god.
Roll me insight with advantage now that this has been pointed out to you.
I want another nat one.
Holy shit.
And an 8.
And an 8. Okay, you're soothed for now. Truffle's on a watch list, but Truffle's not on a no-fly list.
Listen,
I want to know when Truffle's moving, but I don't want to stop her boarding. You know what I mean?
I'll take your word for now, but I'm going to keep looking
Why don't you
because
just let
I
me
just
do
don't want to make things awkward for everyone that we've just met.
That's all you ever do.
Hi, Truffle. Nice to meet you. I'm Missy. I want to have a word.
Truffle reaches out a hand, grabs your bigger hand with both of her hands and says, "Pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much for bringing her back."
Dolly's just gonna look at her and be like, no.
I'm with an 8.
I am soothed.
See arcane energy dancing on the end of his hand that's not in hers as he summons a fireball. So then the Quincy kind of puts her arms around Truffle and Cobner and says, looks at the five of you and says, "Well, the three of us have much to discuss. But me, come to my workshop. It is just on the road on the way to Vale. It's house on the left, last one on the left. There's a sunflower. Well, not these days. I haven't done the garden in a little while. There are some dead sunflowers in the front.
Will they be there?
No, they have their own homes. I don't think we'll be drinking long into the small hours. We might have a little celebration. I am home, after all.
So it will just be one. No, you, us.
Just me? Yes.
Okay.
And Quincy turns to Truffle and Cobner and says, "He's had a bad experience." And they both nod, as if that explains everything. A real generosity of spirit. Oh, I understand.
Quincy, before you go, I need one more favour.
Oh, anything?
We'd like a meeting with Eris, the Reeve. I have a message for her that I need to deliver. Can you arrange that?
Of course. I could go after her now, if you like, and she's looking. Eris is only kind of just reaching the edge of Oratory Square.
Yeah, now. Let's do it then.
Right. Are you going to go with her, or are you just going to let her scurry?
I'll go with her.
So she scurries after Eris. Sort of, oh, excuse me. She's only sort of hip height or rib height for most people. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, yes, I'm I'm back. Moving through, kind of pushing her way through the crowd and this mass of bodies as everyone's sort of going back to work. Roll me perception as we're moving through behind Quincy.
Oh, not good. That is a 9.
A 9.
I'm feeling really bad today.
You see that you see the learned friends are still clustered around the fountain, and eventually you reach Eris, and Quincy sort of taps her on the back. Eris is being flanked by 4 guards who turn not with kind of real aggression, but turn quite smartly as Eris turns around. And Quincy says, Reeve, there was someone who wanted to meet you. Now, these are the ones that rescued me. And Eris looks up and meets your eye, and her eyes widen. Is there anything you want to try and communicate non-verbally here?
I guess I'd give her a kind of a warm nod, because I'm going to, from her eyes widening, I'm going to assume she will remember who I am.
Yes.
And in a non-particularly threatening way, put my hand on a Grenweird dagger, because I'm going to assume as well that she would
absolutely
recognise
she would.
the time.
I mean, even since you were last here, there would have been a wedding ceremony. There probably would have been celebrations in Yanik if they could have got the invoice past the learned friends.
Trust me, I know what that's like in my real life. So,
her eyes widen. She's just going to roll an insight to see. Yeah, she rolled a 14 on the die, and she has high wisdom. So she looks at you and she said, thank you for the debt that you are. She seems flustered as all hell, but she's trying to maintain anything. Thank you. Quincy is a valued member of this town. She means a lot to many people. We should talk.
We should talk. Is there somewhere we can go that isn't Oratory Square?
Come with me. And she gestures for you to stay close. Have the rest of you kind of gone?
I wanted to say that I'm kind of... when Elowin / Pebble...
/Endelian.
Ellie.
You're like Prince.
She's just a symbol. She's just
the fighter formerly known as.
Yeah.
Kelnis sees her walk off, and I think he's quite aware, and I think he's been making his way towards Pebble to...
Yeah, you tend to be Elowin's shadow in moments such as this. You tend to not let her get too far away. So I'll say you heard this interaction. What about the rest of you?
I think Dolly would have let them go and kind of is curious to hear what the learned friends are talking about, but in such a way that.
Sorry,
all right, no problem with that.
Smashed my engagement ring into my laptop. Sorry, carry on.
Don't like learned friends.
Drop.
Okay, eavesdrop away. Roll me a perception check. In fact, I will say, there's a big throng of people. I will say, roll me a stealth check to try and get close. And then if you, what do you
18.
get? 18. So you can roll perception with advantage. You can get close enough amongst this kind of throng of people to be able to... I love it. Love it when advantage comes up clutch.
Still not great, but what was it? Perception?
Yes.
9.
A 9. Okay. You hear with a 9, you hear Pennick saying, no, I mean, you know, I don't think anyone was really listening. And you hear one of the others, a human, saying, no, they were. They really, really were. I do Scottish for humans as well. No, Pennick, look, we are dealing with an uneducated population, and it's not their fault. We can't hold that against them. The ideas you came up with are extraordinary, but really very complicated, and sometimes we just need to take little wee baby steps so that we give people an opportunity to, if you like, come along for the ride. We can't all start riding thoroughbreds now, can we? I know your father is a big exponent of not running before you can walk, and I suppose to use you sense there's just everyone over talks all the time. But Pennick is being comforted, is what you get with a 9, about people not having listened to him.
Okay. That's all. Just wanted to eavesdrop.
Me? I?
Just kind of tugging on Quincy's coat.
Oh, so you've followed along?
Yeah,
Yep.
kind of going,
We can draw us the high chair.
I'll draw. I want to draw a high chair. I'm talking to the Reeve at the moment. She's a very important lady. Yes, I will do that. I will have the high chair ready by Midday tomorrow.
Okay. Where is the apples we can take?
Pardon?
The apples.
I'm afraid I don't follow.
The apples to take. Take an apple.
Take an apple?
Yes. The big man with the big words says to take an apple.
The apple, in that case, was an allegory.
And at this point, at this point, I turn around to me and I just go and ask Dolly. Dolly will explain it.
Who is Al Gore?
He unsuccessfully ran for president.
Successfully, some might say.
As well. So you kind of gather again, unless anyone has anything particular that they want to do in this square. You,
I really do.
Hey, me. I
is me.
Quincy. Listen, I don't want to stir the pot, but you're getting on quite well with her, aren't you?
I would not say that.
I'm just saying, I've never seen you look at another individual the way that you look at her.
Quincy knows things that I find useful.
Take it from me. I know when someone is attracted to me and I'm attracted to them.
You are attracted to them?
No, I found myself in situations where people are attracted to me. It's a whole thing. But I'm just saying, I can sense a thing between you two.
You see a flash in your head, Trusk staring at a window, Red frosting the glass at the top of the room.
I'm just saying that if you want to get someone to like you, give them things.
I is finding the concept of this.
Yeah. Roll me an insight to see how much of this you are following, and then you can. I'm not going to rate it. You make the call entirely.
Okay, it's a 12.
It's a 12. So I would term that moderate to mild success.
Okay. I is finding the concept of relationships in this way confusing. Because in kobold culture, it doesn't really exist.
Don't really pair up.
No.
No, you're just...
So,
You just finish that sentence.
Well, in kobold culture, you don't really have individual family units where a mother and a father raise their children. You will have children that are like raised by the collective, and according to the needs of the group, different adults would be assigned on a daily basis to look after those children. It's not
like the Borg.
Like the Borg.
Like the Borg.
Thank God, he said, Googling the Borg.
I think First Contact. Is it First Contact? Is one of the better Star Trek films.
And here we are with I.
So I find this confusing. The idea of, and doesn't fully grasp what Radiant is going on about.
Can kobolds blush?
I don't think so. I'm cold-blooded, but also I don't think in this moment I would blush because romance isn't.
No, it's not
like a thing. So
But you don't know.
it's like explaining a new. It's like explaining a new color to someone. And
Yeah.
Like finding it weird that they can't hold the idea of that color in their head.
Okay, I can see you're not following me. Quincy,
We is walking together.
you like her?
I knows her.
I tell you what. If you ever feel anything, you want some advice,
Go to Dolly.
I'm here to talk.
Go to Kelness. Go to anyone else.
But I've
Kind of Barabask.
I feels things often. So if I feels anything, I speaks to Dolly,
Listen, I know you.
to Pamela.
I know you.
Pamela, to Pamela.
There are a few heads turning as you said that.
What? I don't think I'm there. What?
I'm imagining this conversation is like starting to take place, like it's taking place just like in a throng of people. Elowyn is just about kind of turning to try and find you and gather you all back. You hear Pamela a few times.
What? What?
I'm explaining to me.
Me.
You know, if he ever wants to talk about feelings and things, then he should come to me and talk.
No, don't go to him. Come to me. What feelings? What feelings are we talking about?
Speak to me?
No. Me. Pamela.
I'm saying...
Quincy is still quite close to me. I'm just going to roll a perception check for Quincy. Quincy rolled a 3. Quincy's just like, oh, it's so good to be home. I never thought I'd see these streets again.
I'm saying that I think there's a little moment between Quincy and...
Is there? Is there?
She is a word fetcher.
I'm delighted at this. What is there?
Is there what?
Quincy, you like Quincy? A gnome? This is so romantic. What a redemption arc. Tell me more.
I is short-circuiting in his brain. Genuinely, like there's a little spark inside his brain
I'm
going...
going to be so upset.
And it's just kind of... just doesn't understand a single thing that is being said right now.
At this point, Eris is like gesturing for you, Elowen. She's like, we should, if we're going to speak, we should.
Yeah, I'm leaving you guys alone.
You go on ahead.
So you
you guys...
You can continue to have this conversation, but I'm going to say it's happening as you're walking out of Oratory Square. It's happening on the move now.
Okay.
Quincy sort of, as you disappear, Quincy turns and gives you a wave and says, "Oh, I'm glad." Looks at Elowen. "I'm glad," and then turns to Isis, "And I'll see you tomorrow."
Does you feel things?
But then, come again?
Does you feel things?
Yes, of course.
I has to tell you that I've also sometimes, I often feels things.
I'm going to have her roll. She rolls a 4 on insight, actually, so she misunderstands what you mean, which I think technically means she blushes. Well, I'm sworn to the workshop, but I'll do my best with the high chair.
I looks at Missy and Pamela and goes,
This was right?
You struck out, but it's fine. She's into you.
I don't know. I think she's into you.
She is into me.
Your voice down.
Be cool, man. Don't blow this for
What
yourself.
is into me?
Do kobolds... Do you kiss? Do you do things with, like, romance? Anything like that? Take each other out on nice dates? Drink some wine?
Dates is a food.
You know, like, nice stuff together.
Roll insight. See how much of this you're now getting.
13.
13. So it's starting to drop in, like, droplet by droplet, but it's not, you haven't yet fully grasped, but you think they're asking you about family unit.
Yeah.
I know this isn't clicking for you right now, but I want to say this. I think we should find a time, some downtime, where we explain to you.
We'll have the talk.
The talk.
Yeah, the talk.
Why is it the talk?
You'll see afterwards.
What will I see?
Just think about it.
I will think about the talk.
I believe that's the birds and the me. So you're led through the streets of Yanik, and it's the kind of town that sort of sprung up organically over time, and so the roads are winding, and you can see people are kind of making their way back to their homes, and the taverns are filling again, and the fields are becoming, are full now of farmers. You see the dwarf who was irritated going back to turning more earth over and getting ready to plant rows of vegetables that will come up in the spring, and as the sort of the central hubbub of the town fades again into these slightly less densely populated areas, you're taken over to the northeast of the town, where there is a stately home that you recognise. It's set over 2 stories, but it's very far from the luxury and the scale of Castle Grenwood. It's this building of pale stone with roses clamber over the front of it. and in the over the facade and in the front garden, you see someone else you recognise. You see Elwyn, who is Eris's husband, and he is a again sort of tall. He wears a long smock-like tabard over tartan trousers. He's got long greying hair. He's got it kind of pulled back away from his face, and he's just tending to the garden in the front of this property. As you, with most of the watch, have kind of stayed in the square. So there's maybe 2 members of the watch who were accompanying Eris and the rest of you as you journey towards the house. And as you sort of go in towards this vegetable garden at the front of the house, Eris turns to the watch and says, that will be all, thank you so much, Elwyn. And Elwyn looks up from the vegetable garden and she looks at him with wide eyes, looks at you, Elwyn, with wide eyes, and says, we are not to be disturbed. And Elwyn smiles at you, nods, gestures with the hoe mockingly as if it's like a weapon, standing to attention, and says, understood. And you're led in through these main doors, this grand hallway, mismatched rugs all over the floor. It feels like, rather than Castle Greenwich, which has this quite austere, almost regal feeling, this feels like the home of quite sort of rich artists. There are sort of threadbare rugs that have clearly come from all 4 corners of the world. There's this beautiful central atrium, and Eris leads you. There are little members of staff dotted around who nod to her as she walks past. She returns all those looks and then takes you out to the back, this large space that you would remember being in with the family on the times that you were here. You would have played here as a child. It has these big terracotta tiled floor. There's piles of books and a few desks. There's a chaise lounge. It's this great big space, and there's glass all the way along the back of it. Huge window panes that look out over the rolling fields of Yanik and away towards Mount Atria. And she says, so, it appears we need to have a conversation.
I'd say we do. There's a lot of conversations in Yanik.
And we will take a little break there.
Turning 50 never looked so good. No, not me, you idiot. I'm just a cutesy 30-something scallywag with a D20 and a dream. I'm talking about Dungeons & Dragons. And to celebrate, Wizards of the Coast have released their new Dungeons & Dragons Museum, the kind of museum that you can actually hold in your hands. Before your tiny brains try and comprehend the physical impossibility of a handheld building, let me show you this. The D&D Museum book, a stunning, slender opus with rarely seen images that's a perfect gift for a friend or just yourself. D&D's changed a lot since 1974, and this stunningly curated tome charts the storied history of our beautiful game, from the first edition to the present day, delving into its rich cultural impact, whether it be in film, TV, video games, or just your dining room table. It also smells really good, that intoxicating mix of paper and historical significance. But don't trust my nostrils, smell it for yourself. Head on over to the link in the episode to get your copy now, or 2, or 3, because you can never have enough museums in your hand. The D&D Museum book. Get it now.
So we're back. We are in the house of Eris, Reeve of Yanik. Elwyn is guarding the door with his hoe, and she sat you down in this...
No, not Elwyn. Elwyn, not Elwyn.
What?
Oh, I didn't even realise.
Yeah, there's a lot of like Eris,
there's a lot of
Elwyn.
naming traditions in this part of the world, and actually it's part of the incredible Tolkien-like lore that I've got that one day I'll publish if we make 1 million Patreons on YouTube.
I'll
Right?
make
Is that
Harry
how it
write a
works? book. And she sits with you and says, well, you've been busy.
Busy is a word for it. Yeah, it's been an adventure. Anyway, look, before we get into the story of what you heard in the sky and the fact that I'm here and you're pretty sure I'm dead, Isolde sent a message. We've come from Mouse.
She's well?
She's very well.
And the siege?
Everything went well. Mouse is safe. Mouse is fine. We were there with my brothers, and we held off the attack.
She smiles and she says, "It's a long time since you were here. You've changed much."
Hopefully for the better. Hopefully.
You started from a good place.
Yeah, a good family.
So what did my daughter say?
The attack. The gloam. We don't think it's going to get better, and it's certainly not going to go away. Isil thinks you'll be better taking the people of Yanik to Mouse.
She looks away, she nods, and she says, "Behind the walls, a fortress. We're vulnerable here. You just saw what happened in the square. A decision such as this would need to be voted upon. We would need to invoke the right of the common voice. You saw how hard it was to get the watch to go and search the woods half a day from here, let alone to abandon the town and move the entire population.
With all due respect, Eris, the gods are dead. There is a mysterious band of masked, well, we don't even know what they are, attacking people and trying to take down cities. You're in charge here, Eris.
In name only. They're not the traditions of this town. For me to command requires a vote to be held, and for a vote to be held, we would have to encourage some silence.
When the gloom eventually come through here, will you have a vote on whether or not you defend yourselves?
No, the watch will do their job. She looks at you and says, "I wish for the people to leave here and go to Mouse. I will make that clear. But I cannot force the watch to leave. I would be asking the watch to abandon their posts. Those who wish to stay can stay, but I cannot leave them unguarded. I cannot leave. It would be a dereliction of my duty."
Could I roll investigation on... I think investigation is the right thing.
We'll find out.
I would like to... When she said I would have to encourage silence, I'd like to...
That'll be insight.
Insight.
Yeah.
I'd like to roll insight.
Yeah, absolutely.
He learns nothing.
It's an 11.
It's an 11. She is clearly referring to the learned friends. You saw that essentially, and she will kind of explain this if Elwyn hasn't already brought you up to speed, but essentially, in order for the people to vote, there are these processes that are in place. In order for a command to be given by the Reeve has to sort of create a forum in which that can be discussed and then voted on. And essentially, to use a kind of modern term, what the learned friends are doing is filibustering.
Yeah.
They're just using it as an opportunity to practice their talking and satisfy their own need to debate, and it just bogs everything down. So they would need to find a way of making the learned friends more tractable and more amenable to the idea of just pushing a vote through.
Being dead would do that.
I wouldn't want to go that far, Master Dragonborn.
I was kind of joking.
We've only just met. I have no frame of reference for your character. Perhaps some wine. And she gestures for a member of the household to bring some wine and some little, a sort of meze of little things. You would remember this from when you were here, Elwyn.
Cheese balls.
They have gougere, I believe they're called. They have a particularly good cook. The Mentors grow a lot of their own produce, and everything's kind of local, and they have a particularly good cook who has worked for the family for a very, very long time, and they have sort of a little smorgasbord of foods from all over. So you have beautiful little spiced things that you might get in Lathy, and you have some You have some sort of gorgeous fish that you would get from the shores of Lake Covey. You have all these different things, just these little morsels that are placed out in front of you.
I just pick up one of the plates.
Helped front of the queue at the buffet.
Yes. Very much the spirit of Kelnis right now. He's hungry.
Yep.
So, how do we make the decision easier? Mouse will benefit from having your people and the watch inside its walls anyway, and you will be safer.
She says, the learned friends were not always this difficult. It's Panic. It's Panic Winter von Van. Everyone roll me histories with advantage.
20.
Nat 20, okay. In that case, Elowen, you remember when Panic was up there doing his speech, he mentioned a great philosopher called Walland Winter von Van, and he's clearly of the same family as this kind of great philosopher. She said in the last weeks, he's not a bad person, but he seems more difficult. He insists on holding everything up. The town is like cartwheels stuck in mud. He refuses to allow anything to pass. He didn't used to be this difficult.
It would be easier to get everyone to Mouse if they was not there.
I think Panic would be the key, would be the lodestone that would allow the whole thing to
I could kill him.
No, please, we have to stop. We can't. These are dark enough times. We do not need to. He's a student.
But if you changes your mind, let me know.
Roll me persuasion.
That is a 16.
She says, I am more grateful for the offer than I thought I might have been. But I hope it doesn't come to that.
Do you have something in mind?
If you could persuade him. If you could reason with him. Everyone roll history.
19.
Okay.
15.
15.
7.
7.
17.
17.
8.
8. With a 19, you remember the conversations that you had with Petra and the conversations that you overheard. And there was talk of a highborn elf who owed a debt. Panic is an elf. He's highborn. There might be something in it. Owed a debt to Iago, the leader of the Tieflings.
I don't want to be presumptuous here. But in helping Quincy, we overheard some things about a character named Iago. Do you know them?
She rolled a nat 20. I've heard the name, but not had any personal dealings with them.
Well, they seem to have a lot of fingers and a lot of pies in this part of town.
Well, that's news to me. She looks a little concerned.
He hangs out at the Black Cat.
Well, it's on the southern edge of Yanik.
Seems maybe we either pay him a visit or we have a chat with this elf.
I think that's probably a good idea.
We have an idea.
Right.
We overheard that this Panic might be in a little bit of trouble with Iago.
Financial trouble.
She nods. She says, I have heard he has been profligate with his money, unlucky at cards, apparently.
Yes, and Iago is quite lucky at cards from what we understand.
I see. Well, it sounds like you know what to do.
Kill him.
As she sort of tilts her head and maybe.
The idea gets even better every time you say it.
But if we can remove the roadblock,
I can force the vote.
and then we can get you to Mouse.
Roadblock is a metaphor.
It is a metaphor. Yeah. In this case.
I, looking out the window towards the road, clear of any obstacle.
Who is Algory?
So, do we go see Panic first, or do we go see Iago first? I mean, we know he was dead. Do we look into clearing that dead? Do we look into... I mean, all we have is information so far.
I don't know what Iago looks like. What does Iago look like? Got a picture of him?
No, I've never met him, but a tiefling. That much I know.
I say we go there and see what we find.
Can't do any harm.
Is it me, I'm in.
He's in.
Can I take some of these cheese balls?
Oh, please. Take as many of the gougere as you like. They have a remarkably short shelf life once they're fried.
Great.
Would he like some sort of dog box?
Dragon bag.
A dragon bag. She nods. She nods with great solemnity, and they bring you a little haversack, like a sort of little bag with a drawstring, and with a sort of water-resistant leather lining, so that things don't.
Just pick up another plate.
Bag of cheese balls.
Bag of cheese balls.
All right.
To go with my pickled.
Your pickled
Someone
eggs.
got it. The bag instantly stinks.
Just look at this and just think, like, her daughter married into my family and this is the company I keep. Yes. It's not great.
To the Black Cat.
Cats?
All right.
To the Black Cat.
So you leave Eris, and you head away from the residence. Elwyn is still in the front garden, and as you walk past, he mutters to himself, "At ease," as you walk off back into the town. And she told you that the Black Cat is on the southern edge of the town. It's not a large town. And you see a slightly ramshackle-looking tavern. Roll me perception, everyone. 5 from I.
15
from Dolly.
13.
14.
A natural one, I'm blind.
A natural one.
I'm legally blind.
He's just
I'm
running into
facing the
something.
opposite direction.
Looking directly down at the ground in the opposite direction.
There is no roadblock.
Looking for an actual black cat. Can't find one. Assumes you're in the wrong spot.
Slightly larger than average.
So everyone over a 10. This is ramshackle. It doesn't look dangerous, but it doesn't look welcoming in a way that you can't quite place. And Dolly, you notice your path to it took you kind of round the edges of the town. It didn't take you through Oratory Square. But you noticed on your first journey that as you got further away from Oratory Square, and you would know, Elwyn, and so you pointed out to them, that the House of Learned Friends is this sort of large building with a walled garden on the edge of Oratory Square. Other than the Reeves residence, it's the most imposing and biggest building in the town. And you see the people with silver robes and blue belt buckles. And you see fewer and fewer of them as you get down to this area. And you see that this is very much looks to be a tavern for the people of the land. This is not somewhere that it feels like the Learned Friends would frequent. This feels like a sort of, like a working man's club. It has that kind of feel, sort of spit and sawdust kind of feel.
I'm going to turn to the rest of the group before we approach it and be like, if there was anywhere that, the type of individuals, now that we've left the web, we're going to hang out, it would be here, so it might be good to keep a lower profile than we usually manage.
Where's here? Oh my God, we're here.
Essentially, he thinks he's teleported.
Wait, have we just... I'm so sorry, I was thinking about something else. Please carry on.
That was it. Thank you so much for punctuating that point like that so eloquently.
Well, he has new names.
We do. I just know that anytime we tend to enter a tavern, people tend to take notice.
No
I
wine.
promise I won't dance.
No wine.
No wine.
Well, a little bit of wine.
A little wine.
I think we need to be cautious, you're right. Mm-hmm. The web is wide after all.
Don't say that too loudly.
Shh.
All right.
Let's do it.
You all going in?
Yep.
Okay, so you push your way through the door, and it creaks. It's like there's a sort of battered reeds on the floor, which has been intended to keep the worst of the mud of the fields out of the wood floors, but you can see in the grain and the gaps between each of the planks that have expanded and contracted over summers and winters for dozens and dozens of years that there's just caked in grime. There's a flight of stairs that goes up to a first floor away to your left, and then at the end of this corridor there are doors to your right, which are frosted glass. You can see shapes, and you can see that there are people within there. You hear the murmur of low conversation coming through these double doors. And you push them open, and you are in a kind of run-down bar. Heads turn and take you in. Everyone roll insight.
Insight?
Yeah, yes.
I would also like to
Nat 20.
go for something else as well,
Mm-hmm.
which is immediately from the off. As the door is open, I want to just try and, if there's any way I could, like it's like shadowy or it's busy or something, and I could just immediately just kind of like stealth into sort of like some kind of less obvious. So if they turn, they're maybe not going to see me. Do you know what I mean? Like just kind of hide in the crowd or hide in the shadows.
Yeah,
something like
absolutely. I mean, I would say it's not super densely populated,
Okay.
so we'll handle the insight check first, and then we'll give you a stealth.
Cool.
So insight was a nat 20.
11.
11.
15.
15.
6.
6. 17. 15 and a 17. The looks are not friendly, but not unfriendly. And with a nat 20, what you notice is their eyes are going like straight to your belts, sort of trying to see if you're wearing anything that indicates that you're a member of the Learned Friends, is the feeling that you get from it. And you're struck by this awareness that you are not out of your depth, but that you are just about acceptable in here. It's noteworthy that people are here who they don't know, but you haven't been, you're not unpalatable to these people. And their heads kind of turn back to their drinks and to their whispered, huddled conversations. Roll me a stealth check,
That is a 27.
Okay, what you manage to do is as those doors open, you're a little shorter than the rest of your companions. The doors open into the room. And you manage to sort of slip to the left-hand side where there are some quiet corner booths and get yourself in underneath a window that is boarded up, that looks to have been patch repaired. You can hear the wind outside, a breeze and a cold draft, which is why no one's choosing to sit here. But you've managed to get yourself into a little dark corner of the room where if people looked over, they would see you unless you specifically want to hide under the table or in the banquettes. But you've managed to do so in a way that the room hasn't, generally speaking, been alerted to your presence.
Okay. I want to just have a little scan across and see if I can see a tiefling.
Roll perception.
2.
A 2. No, you see humans. You see dwarves. You see a couple of dragonborn in one corner, but you don't see any tieflings.
So I'm now going to just sit quietly in the corner and observe and kind of keep an eye on it if anything changes in the room around whatever these guys are doing.
Yep. So you're kind of watching to see if the doors are opening. You're essentially like security from a distance, watching your friends' backs, making sure no one gets the jump on them. Absolutely. There's a in the sort of corner to your left, there's a bar, and there's a dwarf, of course, wiping the bar down with a rag. What else would they be doing? It's a tavern, right?
And they'd be Scottish.
They'd be Scottish. Well, just you wait. Just you wait. I might surprise you.
Can he be from Inverness?
Probably. I've got the range, mate.
Well, we're in a tavern. Gotta keep up appearances. I'm gonna stroll over to the barkeep and be like, where's I? Okay.
Don't worry.
Wine.
Wine.
4, please.
Extra sediment.
Not right.
He looks to Radian, as you say, extra sediment, and then turns his face straight back to Dolly.
Yeah, don't.
4.
Mm-hmm.
4. Very well. And turns to the back and opens pops a cork out of a bottle of wine that clearly has already had a cork in it, and bits of it. As he pulls it, the cork sort of snaps off, and he just with his little finger just pokes the cork down into the bottle. Says, "Right, 4 goblets on the thing. One of them clearly is not very clean. Gets his thumb, wipes it around the rim of the goblet, wipes it on his thing, pours 4 wine out.
How's business been?
Business is what business is.
Good, bad?
Much the same. We have familiar faces. We have some unfamiliar faces.
I take it we're the unfamiliar faces?
You are correct.
Don't worry, we're just passing through.
And I lay out 5 spoons and just say, you wouldn't happen to be in the market for some spoons, would you?
Roll me a perception check.
Uh, 11.
11. He looks over and you follow his eye line to like a big earthenware jar filled with various bits of cutlery. You know how sometimes you go to someone's house and they've stolen glasses from different pubs and they all have it feels like that, like they're all from different sets. And he says, "We have what we need."
Not like this.
We have what...
Look at these, they're beautiful.
But too beautiful for
What
this
good do
place.
I have for a beautiful spoon?
Sorry, introduce myself, Missy Mayfair. Nice to meet you.
He doesn't take your hand, but he nods at your hand and says, "Tommen."
We are humble travelling spoon salesmen.
Just what this town needs.
As you can see, our spoons are of significantly higher quality than yours, and we just wondered if you were interested.
Made by me, Steve Chase.
He says, "I'm not in the business of buying, I'm in the business of selling. It's 4 copper for the wine."
Sure. He puts it on the table.
Mm-hmm. And he takes it off the counter and then turns away.
I scoop up my spoons and put them back in my bag.
You change your mind, you know where to find us.
Pamela's gonna make sure and grab the not gross glass that he ran his finger all around and just sort of spin around, lean on the bar and sort of scan.
Roll me perception.
That's 10.
Okay. People talking in little groups. You see a few heads turn away from you as you look round, as if people had been watching your conversation, but you didn't quite catch. You catch that feeling when in your periphery you can gauge that there was activity, but you can't tell exactly where it was coming from.
You're in the business of selling. Any chance of selling some information? We're looking for someone.
How loud are you talking?
Not that loud, just
Okay.
for the bartender, I suppose. And we're stood at the bar.
Okay. Roll me perception.
That is a 14.
14. As Elwyn says this, you just about hear it from your little drafty corner. None of the other heads in the tavern move. You don't know whether that means people aren't listening, but it means no one is yet turned to look and sort of show that they are listening. Tommen turns back to the bar. What kind of information?
We're looking for a tiefling. Goes by the name of Iago.
Roll insight.
That is a 19.
19. He sort of moistens his lips, looks down at the rag, wipes it up and down the bar with a sort of automatic action, and you get the sense that he's sort of considering what he's going to say. Then he looks up at you and says, "I've heard the name.
Do you know where to find him?
This is not how we sell information."
And I'll flick a gold coin.
Roll me persuasion with advantage.
It's 22.
He takes the gold coin, weighs it in his hand. And I'll say, even with that old insight check, people don't spend a lot of gold here. This is not a place where an awful lot costs gold. And he slides it into a greasy-looking coin purse on his belt. And he cracks what is an attempt to be a winning smile.
Toothy. Or lack thereof.
Yes, haven't seen him for a little while, a week or so, but he is known to me. Spends good money, much like yourself.
I'm sure it's his money he's spending. Do you know where he is now?
Well, you might find him at the card table. The tipsy scholar. Playing with the sugars. Roll me history on that.
That is 21.
Oh, sick. Okay. The local people call the learned friends the sugars because they're very sweet, but too much of them will make your teeth hurt.
Yuppies.
Well, it makes sense. Iago wouldn't be looking to scam people out of money here. It doesn't look like anyone has any here. So, makes sense that he'd go to a tavern where they do have money to part with.
Well, I think we know where we're heading next then. Wasn't really planning on finishing this wine anyway.
No.
Hey, before we go, Steve, give him a spoon.
Not giving him a spoon.
Give him a spoon.
Giving him
Good money.
Well, Steve, Mr. Chase, if I may be so bold, I could take a spoon on sale or return, seeing as you're a good friend of a friend. And if I sell the spoon, then all is well, and if not, you can take your spoon back. He's still this kind of rictus grin as he's attempting to be warm.
I find the absolute worst spoon I can possibly find in my bag. Still not a bad spoon.
No, it's still the best spoon here.
It's better than any of the spoons in that jar over there. And I slide it across the table. I'll be back.
People will be flocking from miles around.
You're lying.
I am. And he takes the spoon and places it next to the bottle of spirits behind the bar, props it up, and takes a scrap of parchment and writes spoon, 1 silver, and leans it up against the spoon.
Fine.
All right.
Let's go.
I'm going to let them exit,
Yep.
and I'm going to hang back for a moment just to see if
Steal the cool.
anything happens in the pub.
Love it. The 4 of you leave. In fact, can the 4 of you roll perception as you're taking in the bar, just to see if you've clocked where I was going? Because he hasn't told you where he's going.
11.
11 from Dolly.
12.
12.
9.
9.
15.
15. With a 15, you weren't specifically trying to hide. Radian, you spot I sat Strider style in the corner of the bar, hood up.
I give him a nod as we pass.
And I just go,
And the 4 of you head back out into the snowy streets.
to those listening, I put my finger up.
I think we should come up with a name.
A name?
Yeah, the Spoon Company. I quite like it. Traveling spoon salesman, we can get away
It's a
with
good
stuff.
cover.
You're just not good with people. And you kind of
Speak
need
for
to be
yourself.
good with people to sell stuff.
Well, okay, I'm asking you to be good with words. Tell me.
I just call it countless spoons.
They are counting. Well, no, we can't call them counting spoons. That's the whole point of us staying on
God
the
killer
cover.
spoons? I mean,
You mean like as an undercover name for the spoon company? Ray Chase's Great Spoons.
change the name again.
Ray Chase is good.
Shit.
That's in the
Jack
actor Ray
Ray
Chase.
Sorry, Ray.
Ray, we love you.
We love you so much, Ray.
I hope you do make spoons. That would be really great.
And if you do, we've got a great name for your company.
Listen,
Yeah.
we're seeking 20%.
And if you can get Robbie and Max into this as well, that would be really great, just for the publicity, you know. Anyway, Steve chases great spoons.
I know the next advert.
I mean, does anyone have any better ideas?
Well, accountants there are made by you. I feel like it needs to come from you. I wouldn't. Steve Chase, not all that poetic or enticing. How about something like dragon carved spoons, or
Dragon spoons.
well, let's think on it a little more, maybe.
While we walk to the tavern.
Yeah.
We'll think on it while we walk to the next tavern.
I quite like Steve Chase's great spoon.
Thought you might.
While the others leave and have this very important discussion, I roll a perception check.
19.
19. You hear the creak of the doors, the sort of saloon-style doors shut to the bar with the frosted glass, and then you hear the footsteps of your friends as they leave down the corridor and the creak of the main door to the tavern as it opens and closes. And then one of the Dragonborn stands up and makes her way over to the bar. And you hear, well, what was that all about then? And you hear Tom and the dwarf say, they were looking for someone. Who were they looking for? Iago. The Dragonborn says, they'll be lucky. And then Tommen says, he's owed a debt. He will want to reclaim it soon enough. And the Dragonborn orders a drink and goes back to talk.
Okay. I'm just gonna, like it's nothing, just stand up and just walk out, like blending in.
As Tommen
you
goes,
so well
no
do.
children in here. hey, you, get up! You leave.
Okay.
I don't think people are watching people leave in the same way they're watching people enter. It's perfectly fine.
And then I click my heels and I run to catch up.
Like Dash from The Incredibles.
I very casually, I walk out and I get out the door and I just...
This is marvellous.
This is what my dogs do when they want my attention. They run at me, they jump to the back of my legs, like they run into my legs.
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
sort of do that, and I'm like, right here.
It's when they run up behind you and they go,
And that's essentially what you've just done to us.
So you hear fast feet, and you look, and I has he's got his hands like blades. You know when you're like, that's faster, I'll cut through the air. He's
Gotta
like
go
running,
fast.
little clawed thumbs tucked in, and he is moving hella quick, and he makes it to you.
And I catch up and I click my heels. And I say,
They thinks we will be lucky to find him. And they says he wants his dead.
Well, nothing we didn't already know. Our luck's held up pretty well so far.
Has it?
I fancy our chances. Listen, dead gods, a siege. We're still alive, aren't we?
I'm on my third name.
phenomenal.
Those are rookie numbers. Yeah, rookie numbers.
It's been a week.
so, that's where we're headed?
Yeah. Come on, Mayfair.
Mayfair.
It's Missy.
See Mayfair.
Mayfair.
Oh, while we're at it, me, we are workshopping names for our new venture as a cover. A spoon company. We sell spoons. Steve Chase, formerly the actor Ray Chase.
You can do it, Alex. Keep in character.
We want to come up with a name. Spoons made by Steve.
Simply Steve's.
Steve chases
spoons?
great spoons.
Steve's special spoons.
Steve Spoon.
Splendid splendid spoons?
Spoon Steve.
No.
You arrive at the tavern.
Exhausted.
This goes on for some time.
Yeah, this goes on for some time. You make your way up
15 minutes later.
through Oratory Square. And on the western edge of Oratory Square is a tavern. This one you immediately see is... There's a different kind of clientele here. There are broadly speaking, sort of three classes that you've noticed since you've been going around. There are the real workers who are labouring with their hands that you just saw in the Black Cat. Then there are the learned friends, and then there seem to be this sort of middle class population. Nothing here is particularly about finery, but they don't have the hands that are sort of scarred by work in the fields. They seem to be, they sort of maybe work more amenable hours, and they work as artisans or bookkeepers, that sort of thing. And it seems to be these kind of people, along with a few learned friends that you can see gathering on the edge of the tavern. It's, by this point, we'll say it's about 2:30 in the afternoon. So we're into the kind of last couple of hours of daylight.
Head on in.
Yep. At least the wine here looks better.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds you, as you walk in, of the Orange Tree Tavern in Baroon. It has that kind of... you look and there's a chalkboard which has the various drinks, and they're being crossed out and re-put in. You know, it has that feeling of refinery. There's a wide drawing room space that you first walk into. There's a fire roaring in the hearth with ornamental poker and brush set, a fire grate with a little bit of gold ornamentation on it. And there are a series of circular tables and then 3 that are placed in a bay window. And it feels, you can see, it feels, there's not a bard playing, but it has that much more sort of jovial feel to it. It's already playing. The jovial music is already playing. And people are talking in little clusters, learned friends. You know, essentially it's up to you.
I see a card table.
You don't see a card table in here.
Is there any other adjoining rooms or anywhere like that?
There are. There is a doorway that you can see beyond. Again, there is a bar and a bartender. This is a halfling. And away to the sort of far side of the space from where you came in is a door. But beyond that, it's just this one large space.
Okay.
Shall I sneaks? You distracts, I sneaks.
Sure. Maybe don't let anyone see. Let's just scope this out for a while. Dolly has a bit of experience with card sharks and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So I think she's gonna want to have a little look. From afar first.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go up to the bar.
Mhm.
Like, same again?
Same again. Let's hope this time it's drinkable.
Hello, you're welcome to Tipsy Scholar.
How's your day been so far?
You really want to know?
I do.
You look at this halfling. He's balding, he's got a comb over, like very much kind of oiled down in place, this grey hair, aquiline nose. He has a great coat on. You look over the bar and you see that he's stood on a little kind of step stool which leads to a plank that he's had strung between the bars so that he can kind of get along. And he immediately has the feeling of a bit of a curmudgeon.
Mm-hmm. Well, they invoked the right. Of course they did, and then same as usual happened, but tends to be at least a busy day for us when they invoke the right. People want to discuss afterwards and a bit of cause for celebration. I mean, I suppose I've had worse days.
Nothing like a drink at the end of a long chat. A long, boring chat, am I right?
Well, quite.
Mm-hmm. Is it more like the clientele that give you trouble?
They tend to be.
Roll me... Are you trying to sort of sweeten him a
Yes.
little? Roll me a persuasion check.
23.
23. He sort of looks at you, looks you sort of up and down, and then sort of rolls his eyes, exhales a little air, and says,
I mean, they spend good coin, but my word, I don't want to sit down and chat with no one most of the time. Talk to myself. I have to. No one else talks to me.
Well, they just want to talk at people.
Oh, my life. No such thing as conversation.
No, pretty one-sided around here, I can already tell.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that.
How about 4 wine and 1 for yourself?
You mean that?
Yeah. Go on.
Oh, shouldn't I? I'm working.
I won't tell if you won't.
Well, I suppose this is my establishment. No one above me but the gods, and, well, turns out no one above me.
No. So, go on.
He pauses. He says, well, if I'm sharing it with you, we may as well do the good stuff, eh?
I won't say no to that.
And he goes to he goes, sort of steps down off the little bench, and he pulls out a quite dusty-looking bottle with a handwritten label in Elvish script. And you recognise this as a bottle of Escalon wine, something that's grown on the slopes of the Arrow.
I'm gonna catch you.
This is the good stuff.
Yeah,
It's like
just a silent nod from me.
he opens it with. Roll me insight.
10.
You can see he's trying not to smile as he opens the wine, and he pops the cork, and it has a real pop, that really satisfying sound, and there's this smell of blackberries and plums immediately, this sort of waft of it, and he holds the end of the cork to his nose, nods, removes it from the stopper, and then pours a little into a glass, pushes it over the table. See how that takes your fancy?
Gonna do the whole smelly thing.
Roll me a performance check.
19.
A connoisseur.
Had to be, been around. Not in that way.
He goes,
take a little sip. It's good stuff.
It's good stuff. It's very good stuff.
Just gonna kind of just add into the performance a little bit. Say, so my friends and I, we're in town for a little bit. It is boring here. It is so boring. Anywhere that we could I don't know, have a little bit of entertainment. Any games going on? It seems like all you guys do is stand in a public square and listen to people talk.
Roll me persuasion with advantage.
16.
16. Well, there's we have fun. We make our own fun.
Tell me more.
And he leans over the table, steps back up on his stool, leans over the table, and he eyeballs you and pours 4 more glasses and tops yours up. And he says, money takes care of itself. Thank you for the chat. These friends are yours, aren't they?
Good friends.
Missy Mayweather. Nice to meet you.
Roderick Proudfoot.
These are my colleagues. We are just a couple of traveling salesmen.
I fan 3 spoons out in my hand and say, Steve Chase. These are my spoons.
He's the brains of the operation.
Seems it. It's a beautiful name.
Steve, show him the spoons.
You can see why I've been bored.
Quite.
Spoons, see?
Very nice spoons.
They're for sale. Would you wouldn't happen to be in need of spoons, would you?
Roll me persuasion. You know what, he might be.
26.
20. He is. I could see my way to purchasing a few good spoons. Chef wants to try this new thing where he serves the starters on a spoon. 1 bite style.
How many are you looking for?
I could do 2 dozen.
I could do 2 dozen as well.
He makes a lot of spoons.
It's a lot of spoon carving.
I may need to get some out of your backpack.
What do you mean?
Reaches in your backpack. Ton of spoons.
Can we check to see how many extra ones?
Yeah, roll me 2d12.
Can I get another one?
No.
6.
6. There are six spoons more than when you last checked.
I need to make my own fun sometimes.
I hadn't done on the 6.
As you can tell, Steve makes spoons of the highest quality. You won't be disappointed. We at the Wood and Spoon we like to think of ourselves as the Wood and Spoon, original Wood and Spoon company. We really like to make sure that all of our customers have the highest quality spoons.
Our spoons are supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
I'm going to need more wine.
He pours more wine into your glass. He takes a spoon, weighs it in his hand, has a look at it. These are good spoons. What do we reckon? Silver piece?
Each.
Yeah, of course.
We can do better than that.
You might be able to. It's a question of whether or not I can.
Steve, show me good spoons.
Pull out
You really won't find better spoons
some
anywhere.
of my finest spoons.
One of you roll me persuasion. I don't mind who it is.
If I may. 24.
24.
You may.
He says, "2 silver. 2 silver a spoon. 48 silver for 2 dozen. You won't find anyone who give you a better price than that, not in all of this town."
That is a fair price for well-made spoons.
I'm glad we're agreed. He reaches his little hand over the counter to
Why
show.
haven't we been doing this the whole time?
Sell it. You should sell them to the Grenwicks.
No.
Do you say that in front of the bar?
He parts with 48 pieces of silver that you can add to your inventory, and you get rid of 24 spoons.
You have to make more so I can put more in his bag.
We're not spoon players, so that's not what we do for fun.
I did wonder.
I can play the spoons. Just saying.
Steve, show him the spoons.
So what do you do?
What do you think about games of chance?
Love them.
We've got a card game.
Oh, yeah.
It's quite exclusive, mind.
I used to run a few exclusive clubs myself.
Did you now? Well. Then you must meet my boy. He's a croupier, first of his kind.
Really?
Roll me an insight.
16.
Very proud of his son.
Sorry, it was an 18. 18.
18. Still very
Very, very
anything
proud.
more proud. Yet more proud. Very proud of his son. Like, he sort of puffs his chest up. Yeah. Come with an old new game all by himself.
Really?
People never seen the like. House always wins, mind. Winks.
Wouldn't expect anything else.
If you fancy chancing your arm,
Fancy my chances.
you can come back this evening. There's a game running.
What's the buy-in price?
5 gold to sit at the table. We ain't messing about.
We can stretch that.
The bank of Elwyn. Yes, we can stretch that.
Right, well, always think card games better in the dark.
That's the right atmosphere.
Quite right. Well, you're welcome to sit yourselves down. We can come back. I'll be here.
Anyone have anything to take care of?
Well, as this has been going on, I wanted to just... How many doors did you say there were?
2.
2. I want to just literally just see if I can just creak either of, like, creak them open.
So
and
there's
just
the
peer
door that you
inside.
came in through.
Yep.
Would you like to go and creak that, or is it the door on the other side of the
On the other side, yeah, so it's just the one on the other side,
You creak
yeah.
that door open, and it goes to rooms that have numbers on them.
Okay.
Do you know what a number is?
I mean, I understand that
You see that there's a
significant
symbol on each room
Yeah.
in a way that doesn't look to have been put there, in a way that looks to be there on purpose and that would be important. You know, it's not like scratched in surreptitiously.
Can I make my way down this little corridor
Absolutely.
and just give, how many doors are there?
There are 3.
3, okay. And just sort of, again, see if I can give them a little...
Okay. So the one closest to you, which is immediately on your left, is locked. The one in the middle opens into a room with a sort of small double bed and a chest of drawers kind of next to you on your left-hand side. As you open the door, it's like a small room for one person. A candlestick sits on a chair with an unlit candle in it. And then at the far end, down the end of the corridor, there is what looks to be more of a sort of dormitory room with 4 beds in it.
Okay.
And those 2 are open, the other one is locked.
The small double bed, can I see any signs that it's inhabited?
Ooh,
Do you know what I
roll
mean?
me investigation.
15.
It looks to have been freshly made.
Freshly made. Okay, cool. I'm just
Like a turn down service, where
Yeah.
like part of it's quite elaborately made, where it's sort of pulled back and there's various.
But there's not like anyone's personal effects or
No,
anything.
no, it's essentially an empty room ready to receive another traveller.
Okay, cool. And just can I go and do the same in the 4-bed? Just see if there's any personal effects in there.
I'll say it's the same situation.
Okay,
These are
cool.
the you can kind of glean that the unlocked ones are the ones that no one's staying in.
Okay. I'm going to make a mental note of the locked one and head back out. Slide back out into the bar to where these guys are.
Great.
I mean, I don't really see any reason to go anywhere else. We've got pretty good wine here, and we're going to come back in a few hours anyway.
We're just going to need a place to stay.
That's true.
I slide back in and go,
Hello, me.
That's what he calls himself.
Right.
Steve, show him the spoons.
Oh no, we've done the spoons, pal.
They are very good spoons.
They have just bought 2 dozen. I'm very aware of the quality of the spoons.
Well done, Steve.
Roll insight. Elowen, roll insight.
That is a 14.
You wonder if perhaps Broderick is starting to regret the friendly approach with which he greeted Dolly, as the rest of you are sort of revealing yourselves to be not necessarily a solution to a problem.
I think knowing that, I'm probably going to leave Dolly at the bar to maybe sort out somewhere for us to stay, and I'm going to take the boys and find us a table.
There's a table in the bay window, just to the left-hand side as you're looking.
So I'm going to, just grab all 3 of you, and I'm going to go and sit.
Scruff of the neck.
Yeah, you especially. We're going to go sit in that bay window.
You sit for a while. What are you arranging with?
Rooms for each of us, I guess.
He says, we've got a dorm room. How many beds do you need?
Good question. Well, one of us doesn't actually
I
need
does
it.
not need. Thanks you.
4?
We've got rooms with 4 beds.
Perfect.
Just 2 gold for the night.
Yep. I mean, I think I'd have that.
Yeah.
Sort that out and sit down.
Do you shout over the bar?
what, that I said I don't need a bed?
You know what? I'm going to roll. I'm not even going to answer you. Okay. You're fine.
You're fine. You're fine.
For now.
If that roll had gone the other way, you would have been dead.
Yeah, that's it.
Permadeath.
So there's never been anyone that you've ever met that have given you, butterflies in your tummy, like your heart skips a beat when you see them.
Made your scales stand up on end.
Yeah, that. I guess that must be a thing. Like someone who you can't wait to see. Like,
Can we get more wine, please?
He brings over a bottle. He says, first one's on the house for the conversation. This one, I'm afraid you are going to part with some.
Fine. Gonna need it.
It's 8 gold.
Fine.
These are proper. I mean, if you want to keep drinking the same stuff, these are proper bottles.
I will keep drinking the same
Yeah.
stuff.
So 8 gold. Take 8 gold off your inventories.
Yep.
8 gold.
each.
No,
okay.
sorry. Yeah, it's not 40 gold for a bottle of wine. Those bottles of wine exist, but that's not what
Yeah,
he's
that's
drinking.
not here.
I have eaten butterflies.
No, it's a feeling, like a fluttering, like someone
No, they is dead when they is in.
someone that you want to spend all your time with. Talking, dancing.
He's not a monster.
Dancing. No?
You know what Radiant was doing that one night? That's dancing.
But with someone.
No.
How do you feel about us?
You as tribe.
Have you ever felt that you could be... Have you ever felt about a person maybe that they are more than tribe?
There is nothing more than tribe.
One person being your whole entire tribe.
I think tribe is not... Tribe is what you want tribe to be.
Yeah.
Tribe can be big, tribe can be small.
And sometimes tribe can be 2 people.
Okay.
Tribe can be you. And tribe can be Quincy.
And tribe can make more tribe.
Tribe does make more tribe. But Quincy is not tribe.
Quincy could be tribe.
I don't think so. Kobold and gnomes. Not a good tribe.
But you like Quincy.
Quincy is useful.
But we're not talking about useful. We're talking about... Have you made this up?
I sense it. Look, have you not seen the way that they talk to each other?
That's your mistake. He senses it.
We talked about you sensing things before.
I sensed a thing. Come on, am I the only one sensing this?
Yes,
Yes.
really.
Everyone who isn't I, roll an insight check on I. And
Forever perplexed. 8.
8. 14. 7. 8. So 14. What is I thinking about this? And Kelnis, you'll be the closest to the mark.
I is legitimately confused. I is just totally literal in this moment and is genuinely just thinking of tribe as that is tribe. It's family. There is nothing. It's not a romantic thing. It's love, but not a romantic love. And that's as simple as it gets.
Guys, let's leave it.
You know what,
He
Radiant?
clearly does not understand what you're referring to.
I don't think you understand either. I've got a funny feeling. I know you don't remember much, but I bet some gold that you haven't got a clue when it comes to relationships.
What gave that away?
Why am I catching strays?
Well, all of this is your fault. You thought you sensed something.
You tend to be off the mark when it comes to feelings.
Why am I being criticised when I wanted my friend to be happy?
We're not criticizing, we're just observing.
I want my friend to be happy, and I sensed a bit of happiness. Is that so awful?
No, it's
Every
not.
time Radiant says friend, there's a little, I can't control it, just almost like a little purr.
Everyone roll perception.
Way too much fun picking on Radiant as a 3.
Yep.
10.
10.
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20.
14.
14. 14 and a dirty 20. You absolutely hear it. This little...
That's what friends do. They help each other.
Hit her button.
And I know he doesn't understand what more than friendship can be, but I just thought it would be quite nice.
One word, Radiant. Trusk.
Oh, yeah. You got that one really wrong.
One time. And I still think she might have a thing for me. I'm just saying.
I absolutely didn't.
Just because people don't have a thing for me, maybe. What about you? Is there someone out there that you like, that you like, that you like?
This goes very dark. Once.
Would you like to talk about it? I just want us to be happy. I sense a bit of happiness.
No one is saying that's a bad thing. We're just picking on you, is all.
If someone has a thing for you, asks for it and they might give it.
What do you mean by that?
Asks for the thing. And they might give you it.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'd wager Radiant has never received it.
Everyone roll perception. Everyone. So you get
20.
Wow, okay, amazing. Amazing.
14.
Elwyn?
21.
21?
21.
21?
9.
9, okay. By now, we'll say an hour has passed as you've kind of had a version of this chat. Chatting about your past and feelings and kind of skirting around the idea of maybe any affections that you might have held before you became this little gang. And
I've definitely kissed someone.
Sure you have.
You are sure, hun.
Sure, huh?
Sure.
I don't remember much, but I remember that.
She goes to another school, guys. She's on another episode.
She's from Canada, actually. And you are aware of the door opening. All of you other than Dolly, who is fixed on Radian, essentially just trying to torment him as much as possible for his lack of prowess in this department. And with a what the four of you see is the door opens and a tiefling with deep red skin, white hair, and heavy black boots walks in. You grab Dolly's arm. She looks up from Radiant. She sees what you see. And with a nat 20, you hear that this tiefling walks over to the bar, leans in towards Broderick and says, "So, is he here?" And Broderick says, "No, I've not seen him. There's a game tonight. I don't know if he shows his face, but I've not seen him. I'm not so foolish as I'm going to go and walk into that house. So if you need to do me a favour, Broderick, tell somebody that I'm looking for him, and I'm going to get what's mine. I'm going to get it soon. I'll be much obliged." And with a nat 20, you see Broderick swallows and nods. And then this tiefling says, "Spare seat at the table tonight?" Of course there is. There's always one for you, Iago. Right. I have some business to attend to. I'll be back before it begins. And the tiefling walks straight out.
That's who we're looking for.
That's our guy.
Is stealthy. Is it worth a follow?
It's up to you. It could be dangerous. I need to stay here. Wait for the game to start.
What did you think?
I'll come with you.
We're not all playing cards, are we?
I don't think so.
But you can't be in there just alone.
Yeah, I can. I used to run something similar like this not that long ago. I'll be fine.
I thinks if we is going, speaks to the man behind the bar, distracts while we... So it is not as obvious we is.
Sure.
I'll stay with Dolly. I'm bankrolling you anyway.
That's
so.
true.
Dolly and Elowen are going to stay. Radiant is going with I. Kel? I will say this mechanically. The more of you there are, the better a chance you have if something goes wrong. The more of you there are, the more of you are rolling stealth checks. And the more of you can fail. So it's a balance.
I think Kel is going to stay with Dolly and Elwyn.
All right. So the three of you approach the bar. Start.
So how long have you owned this place anyway?
You see Broderick. It was in the family for a while. Seems a little distracted.
How you doing?
I'm right as rain.
Nobody ever asks the bartender how they're doing, huh?
That's very true. And as that happens, both I and Radiant follow Iago out of the tavern. You're a few moments after him, so as you get to Oratory Square, roll me perception checks.
7.
18.
18. You spot him, Radiant. He's walking over towards the southeastern corner. You're on the western edge, and he's walking over towards the southeastern corner, past the fountain.
Hey, you're looking the wrong way. He's over there. He's over there.
And you spot him outlined, this black cloak, black boots. You can hear his shoes kind of crunching in the snow, and on the places where the snow hasn't settled because of the populace all filling the square, you can hear it almost like clattering on the stones.
Yeah, I had to follow.
And are
Keeping
you
a distance.
You're keeping a distance. So should we say you're stealthing from now on, and as you tell me
100%
otherwise?
stealthing, yeah.
Both roll me stealth checks.
That's 30.
Dirty 20.
You
They're quiet.
you make your way after him.
I turn around to Radiant because he's being so quiet, and I go. Yeah, it's a little thumbs up.
Silent thumbs up.
I can't be subtle every now and again.
And you see that Iago stops on the corner of the square and he gets a pipe from his pocket, fills it with tobacco, puts himself in the shadows, lights his pipe. You can see that he is staring towards the door of the House of Learned Friends, which is on the northern edge of the square. So he's on the southeastern corner. Do it like this, so you can see he's on the southeastern corner. The tavern is over here, and up on the northern edge, past the fountain, is the doors that lead to the House of Learned Friends. And he is sucking on the pipe, watching. I'm a child sucking on the pipe. Drawing on his pipe. Never had to describe anyone using a pipe before and threw myself.
He says he wants a person inside to know something. Maybe we can be useful to him. Or does we want to keep?
Let's just watch for now.
Okay.
And a few minutes go by. And are you watching him or are you watching the door?
I'm watching him.
Great. I'm going to say you've managed to sort of get yourself along to the southern edge, so that you have like a line of sight sort of down the line of buildings to him. You can see like the cloud of pipe smoke swirling around the dark red skin of his face, and the sun is setting now, starting to cast long shadows. The fountain, as the sun sets in the west, it's starting to cast these shadows that sort of put him in semi-darkness on the edge of the square. And he's watching and watching and watching, and after a few minutes, the door to the House of Learned Friends opens. And you see a human with sort of deep tan skin, hair kind of in curtains like a centre parting. It's not panic, but you see as this person comes out and starts to walk up round the back, so going on the road further north, you see that Iago moves after them.
Okay. I'd like to, again, stealthily follow.
So he's going to stealth. Can you both roll stealth?
Stealth on stealth.
12.
26.
26. You move first, And Iago moves, he makes it to the edge of the square, this figure almost disappearing from your view in the shadows of the House of Learned Friends. And Iago reaches the corner of the square. You then reach the corner of the square. They're 30 feet ahead of you. There's a stumble behind you as Radian's foot, the edge of your boot, catches in the last cobble of the square before you go into the flat ground of the path. And you drag him just out of the way as Iago's head snaps towards the square, both of you just out of sight.
I'm sorry. What happened again?
It's okay, you is big.
And you sneak your heads back out, and you see that Iago is still following, getting closer and closer, and you see from his steps that he's almost starting to crouch, just to try and muffle the sound of his feet, going past a brick wall on the left-hand side.
Mm-hmm. I guess it's just a matter of following him, really, to be honest.
So roll another stealth as you follow.
22.
22?
12.
12. You approach, and Radiant, you sneak a look over your shoulder, and you almost like bump into Eye, and there's a moment where you've kind of created a noise, but at that same moment, Iago reaches this scholar, puts his hand on their shoulder, and pushes them up against the wall, which creates a noise louder than the one that you've made. Roll me perception check from the shadows.
6.
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20.
We both has different skills.
You hear Iago's voice. Well. He knows I'm looking for him, does he? and his hand is kind of up against, his forearm is up against the throat of this scholar. And you hear this sort of strangled voice of this scholar. He knows. I've told him. I said I'd tell him and I told him. Why is he avoiding me then? There's a debt that has to be paid. I don't know. I didn't. It's nothing to do with me. And you can see with a natural 20, his hand goes down to this blood-red whip at his side, and he brings it up to the side of this scholar's face, and just brings what you know would just be a piece of leather down the side of the face, almost in an S shape, and you see a cut open along the side of the face, and blood sort of start to drip down the side of this scholar's face. He says, "Send him to the card game." Yeah, I'll tell him. He's got no coin to spend, and again pushes into him, "Send him to the card game." I'll try. He's not a bad person, don't hurt him. He's just spending his father's money. That's all it is, and he's waiting for more. It will arrive. He says, "Time's up. It's tonight or never. Send him to the card game." And then he pushes this scholar down to the ground. They sort of slump against the brick wall, and he starts heading back in your direction. Roll me stealth checks.
So I guess with my 6, I probably wouldn't have heard anything, but I'd seen the.
You've seen the whip.
Okay.
You can roll with advantage. You rolled super high that first time. 17.
22.
22. You hide in the shadows as Iago. You see him stash the whip in the loop of his belt, draws from his pipe, and walks back into the square.
We wants to be careful of that whip.
We definitely do.
I wants the whip.
You want the whip?
I wants the whip. Why is you looking at me like that?
You want the whip?
I wants the whip. Why is... We should get back to the table. Why is you looking at me like this?
I don't know. I'm feeling a bit fruity.
So eats. Shall we head back to the table? Please?
You want the whip?
Yes.
No, we don't have to. We don't have to steal the whip.
You don't say that out. Do you say that out loud?
No.
I thinks if we are sitting at the same table, there might be an opportunity for a whip. We shall see.
Okay. Let's head back.
Okay. Why is you looking at me like this?
I don't know, it was fun.
Was fun. It was fun. You has good senses, not good feet, but good senses. Head back.
Mm-hmm. And are you doing so stealthily, or are you just allowing yourself to kind of move?
Just move freely.
Okay. You move back to the tavern where what has been happening in the intervening period?
Well, I was only distracting the barman long enough to kind of get them out the door. I think once they were out safely, I was just like, I would kind of make my way back to these two. Are we still workshopping the spoon name? Or?
No.
They came up with a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Wood and Spoon, the original wooden spoon company.
Rolls off the tongue.
Wooden Spoon. It's good.
Wood and Spoon, the original wooden spoon company.
It's like all really terrible names that are like Cutter and Squidge.
Oh yeah. Well,
Cutter and
Bowl
Squid.
and handle.
Yeah.
I just want to, this
Handle and
moment,
bowl.
tell you about a sandwich shop near me when I grew up that was literally...
Please.
That was literally real quick.
This isn't suitable for action surge at all. We must do it now.
That's the same.
tune into action.
No, go on. Tell us about the
Get it
sandwich.
immediately.
Just simply
Maybe.
called,
On
it was simply
Patreon.
called the Edible Sandwich Company.
You know what? Fuck it. Anyway.
Yeah, my favourite
And that's
type
where
of
we'll.
sandwich.
No, we won't.
My favourite type of sandwich.
You join them. You rejoin them at the bar after this little interlude, going up the road after Iago, and you return to your table in the bay window. And after a few minutes, you see Iago enters again, and nods at Broderick, who goes to the end of the bar, opens it, and leads him through a door behind the bar.
Yes, that's where the game is.
That's why you couldn't find a table anywhere else.
Looking forward to it. What's our plan? Do we have one? Make it up as we go along?
Are we back in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I sort of fast-travelled you there a little
Yeah.
bit. Is there anything that you wanted to do in the square? You're perfectly...
No. No one step back.
Well, what are we trying to do?
Well, we didn't really learn much. He just went a little jaunt, threatened someone, said Pennick needs to come to the game tonight. Apparently he's been spending his father's money, doesn't have any money to spend. Nothing we didn't really know already.
Everybody here does nothing but spend their father's money. That's the whole point
We did learn
of this
one thing.
university.
He has a weapon we needs to be careful of.
I think you need to be careful of all weapons, but sure, yeah.
This is something special. A whip that cuts. But without whipping.
Nothing we can't handle.
Everyone's got a weapon around these parts.
So he's bleeding them for money. I mean, you
He
know.
is bleeding them literally as well.
Half those people at that school deserve it anyway.
Yeah, well, no argument here.
By his understanding, some metaphor.
Yeah, I know.
Here's for
Surprise.
Alakash. We're learning.
And after another sort of 10, 15 minutes or so, you see Dolly from over at the bar. Broderick, eh?
That's our cue.
Friends coming through?
Mhm.
Very well. We'll have space for more at the table, but they can get themselves some drinks, watch from the sidelines.
Yeah, why not?
So we can go in.
Yeah.
Fun.
He lifts the side of the bar for you, and he leads you through into a kitchen where an elf in pristine chef's whites with like tweezers is plating some of the most gorgeous and unnecessarily pretentious small plates you've ever seen in your life.
Onto your spoon.
onto
Scallop
and you
fit on little wooden
you
spoons.
just hear him say, "Well, this is an eye-opener, isn't it? This is fantastic." Like, placing them on the spoon, really just completely wrapped up in what he's doing. And then they lead you through a
Ellis gets his first taste of capitalism.
a room with barrels, like the keg room, and then a little room with almost like a kind of a cloakroom is the wrong way to think about it, but like a little antechamber which has a bespectacled halfling sat behind there, who says, "All right then, who's playing? 5 gold to play.
That'd be me.
Just one of you?
Mm-hmm.
Very well.
Pamela Summerhill.
Pamela Summerhill."
Mm-hmm.
Jots it down in a little book. 5 gold.
I'll just...
Play the gold, and
It's like a Casino Royale moment. I'm loving this.
Roderick brings you in, and there are 2 circular tables. Iago is sat at one, and the other is empty. So it's Iago, and then a halfling in an incredibly sharp suit, who is stood on a little box next to a deck of cards. And Broderick gives you a little nudge and says, "It's my boy Finley." And Finley has his hair like incredibly slicked back. Like he looks kind of like Ray Liotta in Goodfellas, if Ray Liotta in Goodfellas was a halfling. Come on, you're very welcome at the table.
Gonna go up to the seat beside Iago and be like, "The seat taken."
You're welcome to sit wherever you like.
Oh, thank you. She's gonna sit down.
Don't see many of us around here, do we?
No, she's gonna switch to Infernal. I've seen a few on the road on the way here, but that's it.
Seen a few on the road on the way. What do you mean by that?
Just met a few tieflings, just traveling. We've been coming from mice, actually.
Bad business in mouse these days.
Yeah, but hey, we've got a little business going, and it's been slow starting, but it's going fine.
And what's the business?
Spoon selling.
Goodness me. What an exciting line of work. I'm sure you have stories to tell.
Yeah, well, there's always a side hustle, isn't there? That's why we're here.
Roll me persuasion.
15.
He flicks a little bit of white hair away from his face, poker straight white hair that falls past his shoulder. Oh, you're not wrong on that, I suppose.
I rarely am.
And Finley says, right, well, unless we're waiting on someone else. And Iago puts his hand over the cards as Finley goes to pick them up and says, we are waiting on someone else. Should be another at the table. I'd rather we didn't get going until then. Finley looks at his father, and Broderick says, oh, well, Iago, perhaps we could, you at the table, perhaps you could play a few hands just between you. What are the rest of you doing while this is happening? There's a spare kind of card, there's an empty card table next door to the one that Dolly sat on. Or there's sort of space in the room, there's bookshelves and places that you could sit and have a drink.
I want to go and sit at the card table.
Mm-hmm. The empty one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On a chair that obviously means that my head is...
Yeah, just eyes. Like a child above the waterline who's about to talk to you in a swimming pool.
I'd be sort of sat where I can watch your table.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe somewhere around the outside.
Yep.
I think I've taken an interest in this bookshelf and whatever's on it.
Roll me an investigation check on the bookshelf, and what are you doing while this is...
I think I'm backing up Elowen.
21. So these are like books of poetry, books of philosophy. Like Broderick knows the clientele he's catering to. This is, if you want to get rich kids to spend money, you've got to give them something to attract their friends to want to stay in that room and maybe spend some money as well. So they're books by the kind of people, there were names that you heard when Pennick was making his first speech. He mentioned Iogros Wash, Endipites Thrace, Walland Winter von Vern, and you find all of those names on there.
I'm going to pull one of them off and open it up and have a look inside.
So it's books on the kind of, it's very earnest, noodly, philosophical books on the nature of thought that get themselves so tied up in their own cleverness. They're sort of essentially books that just smell their own farts for about 500 pages. So Finley explains the card game to you. He says, Iago, are you happy to let the companion, your friend at the table, perhaps play a few hands? And Iago takes his hands off the cards and says, makes no difference to me.
Well, when you see my winning streak start to take off.
So essentially, the way this works is you roll 3 dice, and you have to predict the outcome of these 3 dice. I erroneously called it a card game. I meant a dice game, I do apologise. Let's say it's 3 cards then, from a pack of 6 cards. Okay. You have a deck of 6 cards, and you need to predict which of these shuffled cards will turn up. And there are 3 stacks of 6 cards, and each are individually shuffled and then each are individually turned over. You can bet... Well, essentially, I suppose the best question is, do you intend to play the game by the rules in which it's intended to be played?
For the practice one, yeah.
So you can put a single bet on one number coming up. So if you say bet on a 4, you get odds of 1 to 1 that your 4 would come up in one of those 3 cards. If that card comes up twice, you get 2 to 1. If it comes up 3 times, you get 10 to 1. That's essentially how the game works. It's prediction, it's chance.
Okay. Yeah, I'll play clean this time.
So it's a gold piece for every hand that you want to play.
Okay. Wow. just give me a stack.
Just throw you a small bag of gold.
And Iago flicks a gold coin onto the table, says, "All right, then I'll bite." And Finley sort of elaborately shuffles each of these cards. Roll perception on the shuffle.
That's a 10.
It's a 10. It seems to be a legitimate shuffle. It doesn't look like he's forcing cards or anything like that.
Okay.
And he hands the cards to Iago. And Iago takes the first set of 6 cards and looks to you and says, "Let's call it."
4.
4. Roll me a d6.
5.
He turns it over, it's a 5. He puts that stack down. Finley hands you the second set of cards. You turn one over, roll a d6.
3.
And then he takes the last set of cards himself, turns the top one over, puts it down.
5.
5.
Just warming up.
Quite right. And then Finley turns to Iago and says, "Well, my friend, the bet is with you, as they say. Let's up the ante. Fancy 2 gold?" Iago says, "I could go to 2 gold."
A lot of money to be made in this town. For the right games. Yeah, she's going to put 2 golds.
So essentially, if Iago got your 1 gold because you didn't win. So you put 2 gold in, Iago puts 2 gold in. And again, shuffle from Finley. And Iago says, 1. The first one is drawn by Finley. So roll me a d6.
1.
This next one, Iago is going to draw himself. You see his eyes light up. Roll me a perception check.
16.
He's forcing the card. He forces it down, it's a 1. I'm going to roll for Finley. Finley rolls a 4. Oh, luck's in. And then, go ahead.
Lux, one word for it.
Iago turns his head, cocks his head ever so slightly at you, says, "Your draw. If you want to force it, you can roll 2 and take whichever is better for you, but there is a risk you will be caught doing so."
No, I won't force it.
So roll me 1d6.
6.
Reaches over, takes your gold, takes his gold, and Finley puts 2 more gold in there for Iago. He makes his bet 2-1. Everybody roll perception checks.
16.
16.
12.
12.
24.
24.
15.
15.
7.
7. The 24. Calnus, you hear this first. You hear a little bit of noise from outside. You hear the door opening into that antechamber. And you hear,
"Oh, Mr. Winter von Ven."
the door opens, and the elf Pennick Winter von Ven is framed in the doorway. And Iago's head turns to him and says, "I suggest the rest of you leave." Finley looks to his dad. His dad nods. Finley leaves the table. His dad follows him. Pennick seems frozen in the doorway. And Iago looks to the 5 of you. "Did you hear me?"
I thought we were playing cards.
He says to Pennick, "Come over here." And Pennick takes this shaky few steps towards him. And you can see that his, hands are trembling. His sweat starting to break out on his brow. And Iago takes the cards, sort of flicks them, throws one up, catches it, makes it disappear. He says, "You owe me something. An awful lot of money." There's limits to what a chap can. And this whip lashes up, cuts across the side of Pennick's face, and he drops to the floor. Lashes into him again, cuts, and there's these scratches going all across him.
So maybe we can have a civilized.
Doesn't concern you.
It might now. We're all in the room together.
He looks at the five of you, takes you in and says, I'm going to say this one last time. Leave.
I'll say this just the once. Everyone who's underestimated me has always regretted it. Don't be the same.
I think I'm going to move over to the door, and I'm going to shut the door.
And as the door clicks shut, Iago looks to the five of you, staring at him, and he says, well, things have got very interesting. And that's where we'll end our session. So there we go! Episode 16 of our adventures in the world of Reliquia. Thank you very much for joining us, everybody. Who knows what will happen next time? I can't possibly imagine.
I have a feeling you do.
If you want to hear us unpack this particular narrative briefcase that we've packed for ourselves, then you can wait for a week and see our post-show Action Surge, which will be available the Tuesday after this. But if, however, you can't wait that long, and frankly, who would? You're only human. You can go and join our Patreon. You can get that right now. It'll be there. At some point, I'll get tired of this bit, but I think I'm continuing to enjoy it.
Do you think that actually it's being released at that exact moment that you press it? That like.
Oh, I like that idea.
Imagine it,
That's a
yeah,
very
like-
simple thing for us to get done, right? That's incredibly simple.
Yeah, I'll get right on
Yeah,
that.
I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll add that to the list.
But until then, we will see you next time for more adventures in the world of Reliquia. Bye, everybody! Someone say D&D, baby.
D&D, baby!
It's the power I wield.